All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the June 3rd, 2025 regular Board of Supervisors meeting. We'll call this meeting to order. It is 9 o'clock, and we'll start out with a moment of silence. Does anybody have a moment of silence? Do you have, I'll take the opportunity to conduct a moment of silence for Teodulo Tovar Jr. He is, if you don't know, he is the brother to Raven Shepherd. And she works in the county, and he was in a really bad car accident this weekend. So wanted to go ahead and give our condolences and our prayers to them. So that's the moment of silence that I have, and if there's not anything else. All right, if the K-Core group can lead us in the pledge, please.
Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We have number 4. Consideration of extra items not appearing on the posted agenda. Doesn't look like we have one.
We have none, sir.
All right. And we'll move on to consent agenda items. If you don't know what the consent agenda is, it's basically a passing motion for all items listed under this number 5 item, and it's usually non-controversial items. So, but if someone on the board wants to pull it, or anyone from the public wants to pull it, now's your time. So anyone from the board want to pull any consent agenda items? I see we have 5.10. And then Supervisor Sabatier?
Yeah, I'd like to pull item 5.14 for clarification.
5.14. Any others? All right, I'll open it to the public. Is there anyone from the public that would like to pull a consent agenda item? I'm not seeing anyone in the chambers. Anyone on Zoom? All right, none on Zoom, and then I'll bring it back to the board for action.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda as proposed with the exception of 510 and 514.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. We will now move on to our timed items, and looks like our first timed items, public input. Public input is an opportunity for someone in the chambers or on Zoom and from the public. What's that? Okay, we lost internet, so 5 minutes. We will take a break for 5 minutes and get back to our public input. So let's see, what are we at right here? 5 what? Or 9 what? 9:03, we'll come back at 9:08. Sam, 9:08. There we go. Okay, we are ready to get back into it. I said 9:08, but times 4 or 3. Sorry. So we were at 6.1, our public input item. If somebody would like to come up and speak for 3 minutes, they can come on up, state your name for the record. We will give you 3 minutes, and just know we won't be able to have a back and forth on it. However, we will connect you with either your supervisor or staff that can help you with your concern.
Supervisor Crandall, supervisors, I am Patrick Ridgel. I'm in District 3. I'm a resident of Lucerne. I know that this is 3 minutes and it's going to be a short one, so I'm just going to kick off a conversation. The other day, I received an official survey from an outfit down in Fairfield, and what it's basically is for the it's the watershed management. They're trying to convince the public to clearly vote for a raise in our property taxes to support watershed management. The survey is propaganda. And what I would like to know is, did the Board of Supervisors know about this survey going out? How much did the survey cost, and who approved it? and I'm sure that will lead to much more conversation, and I'm happy to have that conversation anytime you're willing.
All right.
I thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else? No hands in Zoom. All right, we'll bring it back to the board. We will move on to our 6.2, Pet of the Week.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Wences Rojas. I'm with Lake County Animal Care and Control. Our pet of the month is Roxy. She's 8 months old. She's a pit mix. She was brought in as a stray over the counter to the shelter. She was found in Lakeport. She's vaccinated and spayed, and she's ready to go home if anybody ever wants to love Roxy.
Hello, I'm Alexis with Lake County Animal Control. This year we're participating in the second annual Free Pet Adoption Day. This was made possible by the ASPCA and the San Francisco SPCA. This event will be June 7th from 11 to 3 p.m. at our shelter with all adoptions free to the public. Everybody is spayed, neutered, and vaccinated.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
Have a nice day.
You too. Yeah, that was their tactic to get the internet down so they can do rounds. All right, 6.3, or I won't even say the time. Presentation of proclamation recognizing Kelseyville High School K-Corp's graduating class of 2025, and Supervisor Pyska will be reading this proclamation.
Come on up here. And you too, Sheriff.
What was his name? I think I know where that came from.
As soon as I walked in, I knew he was going to ask me.
Sounded like Paul.
Take up as much space as you need.
I respect that decision. I feel like it down. I guess. I like it. Got any brand new kids in here? That's the first time you're
Okay, Board of Supervisors, County of Lake, State of California proclamation recognizing Kelseyville High School K-Corps graduating class of 2025. Whereas Kelseyville Community Organization for Rescue and Public Service, K-Corps, is a 2-year program in which the student is selected based on strict criterion and academic abilities. And whereas the students work directly with the Lake County Sheriff's Office and are on call for 2 years, 24 hours a day. And whereas the members must show an ability to perform with a high degree of excellence and commitment. And whereas the senior members assist K-Corps teachers, Mrs. Holt and Mrs. Larson, with training the junior members. And whereas all members become trained in high-angle rope rescue, navigational systems using maps, compasses, and GPS, search techniques including evidence search and body recovery, leading to certification as first responder. And whereas these Kelseyville High School students have self-initiative and demonstrate exceptional dedication to themselves and the community. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Lake does hereby recognize the Kelseyville High School K-Corps graduating class of 2025 who are guided by their focus on the 3 Ps: prompt, prepared, polite, and a strive to achieve academic and personal success while giving back to their community. Passed and adopted this 3rd day of June 2025, signed by our Chair of the Board of Supervisors, E.J. Crandall. So this program was started in 1976, so 49 years of service coming out of Kelseyville High School juniors and seniors, and that's incredible. And I know that you guys have committed yourselves to this period of time to learn and to serve your community. And what I always think is so special is what you actually receive back when you put all this out into the community. I see you all in your orange out at every festival, doing whatever you're called to do, and we'll have some words from the Sheriff's Department too. But I also want to point out, because Mrs. Holt is not here, how much we really we honor her and her service to this program, to keeping it going. We miss her today. We wish she could be a part of this, and she's retired now, so the torch has officially been passed to Mrs. Larson. But Mrs. Holt would let us know that for the last 7 years, the valedictorians have come out of this class, and this year we have co-valedictorians. We also have Ryan Taylor, who has just been awarded State Secretary FFA, so he'll be doing a year of service there too. So that just really speaks to the excellence of this program and the kids that participate in it. So I want to thank you, each and every one of you, for your service. For the seniors, raise your hand, seniors. We've got the proclamations for you because we are honoring you, but you've also been teaching the juniors, the greenies, so that next year they're going to be in charge. So I will pass this off to the sheriff, and then we'll get some other words here.
First, I just want to thank you guys for what you do. When we have search and rescue call-outs, the addition of you guys coming out and helping us increases our resources and increases the availability that we have to put people into the field to find people that need our assistance. And I thank you for that, and I thank you for your dedication and your willingness to serve your community. And the one thing that I ask you as you go on, especially as seniors, and you go on into your future life, and whether it be college or the workforce or what you choose to do in your life, keep that service in mind. All communities need service. They need people that are willing to come out and do the things, to be selfish, to sacrifice a little bit of themselves to help the community. With all of us coming together to do that, we don't have a good community. And if we can do that, it's always a better community by your guys' service that you give and continue to give, hopefully, in the future. So thank you very much for your time and your service to our community especially, and for assisting the Sheriff's Office Search and Rescue.
I'm not climbing up there. You guys, seniors especially, once you guys move on with your life, you won't realize how much you actually learned in this program. This is a one-of-a-kind program. All right? They don't have this program anywhere else that works directly with the Sheriff's Office doing search and rescue. Okay? This is something you guys can take with you everywhere. And volunteering, like the Sheriff said, is a foundation for a good community, all right? And you guys have been volunteering. I know my son's standing in the back there. I know that he loves this program. He has a lot of fun. I know you guys think he goofs off a lot. He comes by that honestly, trust me. But he's learned a lot from you guys, the oldies. I'm more of an oldie than you guys are, but congratulations on your graduation. Keep working hard. Please volunteer as you move on, and whether you stay in this community or go to another. Volunteering is a foundation for a good, solid community. So thank you guys.
I just want to say I'm so proud of all of you this year, especially my oldies. I don't know that I could have done this switch over with anybody else. So I know you're going to do great things, and I'm excited for you. And new oldies, I'm excited to see your new greenies tonight at orientation. So we've got the new group coming in tonight.
Great.
Well, my name is Ryan Taylor. I was our Squad 4 leader last year, and well, there's Squad 1 Jordan right there, who's actually in charge. She's going to make me speak anyways. So Jordan and I were the first in command and second in command for K-Corps for last year. And part of what K-Corps does is work, as has been stated many, many times, with the Sheriff's Department for all of our search and rescue needs. That means that we find people that are lost, we go on evidence searches, and we give all of our extraneous resources to Kelseyville and Lake County to the best of our ability. And for all of us, that looks like a lot of volunteering, several hundred hours of community service a year. But beyond that, K-Corps is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime experience for a lot of these kids. When we go off into college and into our respective jobs in our lives, there's going to be a grand total of 20 kids near our age range that have done this. And that unique experience gives us such an individual set of skills that allows us all to be successful individuals and build strong communities and volunteer and do all of these wonderful things that Ms. Larson and Ms. Holt make possible for us. And I want to say thank you to all of K-Corps and also the Sheriff's Department, Lake County, for allowing us to do what we do.
So my name's Jordan Huffler. I was a Squad 1 leader. Brian pretty much covered everything, but I just want to say thanks to the community also for letting us help out and letting us be a part of activities like the Pear Festival and helping with parking and doing stuff like that and just being kind and keeping K-Corps going. And then I want to thank Taryn and Miss Holt, even though she's not here, for really guiding us through and being our mentors, because without them, we wouldn't know what to do. And at the end, like, they do everything, so it's really awesome.
All right, seniors.
No. We have one, I don't know if he's working or at a rodeo or he's on long-term independent study, so. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Vice Chair?
That's a great program. I just want to thank and appreciate everything you guys do, and congratulations to the seniors, and thank you.
Love the program, love the group, love what you do. I'm reminded today of Judge Freeborn. He was part of the judge's breakfast and was a judge here for quite some time, made an impact on the community. He would call all of us community service junkies, and I hope you guys caught the bug. I hope you feel good about what you're getting in return by being part of your communities, and take what you've learned and conquer the world. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say, am I on? No.
There you go.
You know, I didn't know about this program, but that's really cool. I'm really impressed. That's very cool that you guys get to learn the search and rescue and all the stuff that you're going to be bringing with you into your future. That's pretty amazing, and it's probably going to help in other fields that you go into. So that's very impressive. Thank you.
Maria, did you want to? Yes.
Thank you. Mireya Turner, Community Development Director. I just wanted to express my great appreciation for this program. I had two of my Turnerlings go through K-Corps. I had an oldie in the class of 2013 and an oldie in the class of 2015. And I was just texting my daughter, who now lives in southern Missouri, out doing great things. And she attributes a lot of her self-confidence to her experiences in K-Corps. Plus, she's still out there tracking stuff in southern Missouri. So K-Corps is an awesome program, and I wanted to thank Ms. Larson for picking up that torch, because you're going to make a difference in so many lives that will then, in turn, make a difference in so many lives. So thank you.
Any other public comment? If not, I'll lastly say I feel like you are already ahead of the game by volunteering. That's almost like a hard commodity to find nowadays. So I appreciate everything, because you join the military, you join something else, you're going to be voluntold, but you already had, that's why I say you're ahead of it. You're already doing stuff. So thank you for doing what you do, and good luck in your future for the seniors and the rest of you. Keep up the good work. I think it's a picture time, Sam. I think we're ready. Yeah. We're gonna have to stand back here.
That's what I'm thinking.
He's pretty tall. Yeah? Let's go over. All right. Sam, hold on. We have some tall guys. They're really tall. Sorry.
All right. Looks like, yeah, we can see everything. Okay. All right. Are you smiling? No. There you go. Got it. Thanks so much.
I'll go that way.
Oh my God. You bought my painting.
It's still on City Hall.
Yes, it is.
We're going to see it.
Recognize you.
I'm very interested.
I know. I'm sure you are.
Congratulations. Good job. Keep it up.
There we go. All right. That was very special. All right, next is our 6.4, presentation of proclamation designating June 2025 as LGBTQIA2S+ Pride Month in Lake County, and present the LGBTQIA2S+ Pride flag to be displayed at the county courthouse for the month of June. Supervisor Sabatier will be reading this proclamation.
I think we have a few people here for this. Come on up.
You have to come up. You have to come up on the stage, or the dais, or.
So one of my favorite American creeds to live by is the great words from our Declaration of Independence, is that all men are created equal. And I think there's a kind of a quote around men that means all people in the United States are created equal. And sometimes we need to recognize and celebrate what we've overcome to get to that meaning in the United States. And today's one of those days. Proclamation designating June 2025 as LGBTQIA2S+ Pride Month in Lake County. Whereas the United States was founded on the principle that all men are created equal, and the fulfillment of this promise has expanded over the years to cover all people. Some of the most inspiring moments in our history have arisen from civil rights movements, bringing one group after another under the umbrella of our most revered and foundational principle of American society. And whereas in the movement toward equal rights for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual, and I need to describe, and I apologize for not describing it within that whereas, 2S stands for two-spirit. And people of all other gender identities and sexual orientations. A historic turning point occurred on June 28, 1969 in New York City with the onset of the Stonewall riots. During these riots, LGBTQIA2S+ citizens rose up and resisted police harassment that arose out of discriminatory criminal laws that have since been declared unconstitutional. In the 4 decades since, civil rights for LGBTQIA2S+ people have grown substantially, and pride celebrations have taken place around the country, around the world, every June to commemorate the beginning of the Stonewall riots. And whereas California has been a leader in advancing the civil rights of its LGBTQIA2S+ citizens, and while further progress is still needed, it is important to recognize and celebrate the substantial gains that have been achieved. And whereas several of Lake County's local elected leaders have not only represented their constituents, but also the LGBTQIA2S+ community within Lake County. The Board of Supervisors also recognizes the many staff members, from line staff to department heads, who are a part of the LGBTQIA2S+ community and serve Lake County with distinction and honor. And whereas, while LGBTQIA2S+ Americans remain marginalized and under attack through legislation in states across our country, the Lake County Board of Supervisors stands firm against intolerance, discrimination, and injustice, and is deeply committed to fostering communities where all people can live free and authentic lives. And whereas lesbian, gay, and bisexual communities within the Rural Association of Northern California Health Officers Region, the 11 rural Northern California counties, face numerous disparities, elevated levels of poor health, increased smoking and heavy alcohol consumption, suicidal thoughts, higher poverty rates, significantly elevated adverse childhood experiences rates, domestic violence, deferred medical care, and adverse weather-related health impacts. Alarmingly, half of this community has seriously contemplated suicide. And whereas LGBTQIA2S+ residents in Lake County represent our families, our friends, our neighbors, our teachers, our employees, and our community leaders. Across all religions, races, and communities, there are LGBTQIA2S+ people helping our nation to become a more perfect union and reaching our ideals proclaimed in the Declaration of Independence, that all people are created equal and therefore deserve to be embraced and treated as equals. Now therefore be it proclaimed, the Board of Supervisors of the County of Lake does hereby designate June 2025 as LGBTQIA2S+ Pride Month in Lake County, and calls upon its residents to eliminate prejudice everywhere it exists and celebrate the rich diversity of our communities. Passed and adopted this 3rd day of June 2025 and signed by our chair from the Board of Supervisors, E.J. Crandall. That's part B.
Part B, okay. I'll save this for later. All right, thank you all so much for being here and for listening to the proclamation. I am Layla Romero. I'm the Health Equity Coordinator for Lake County Health Services. And just one of the things that I brought to Supervisor Sabatier was the information about the health disparities that our queer community members are experiencing. And nobody deserves to have poor health outcomes because of who they are and because of who they love or who they're attracted to, how they identify. And so we, as a community, I think we wanted to show our marginalized community members that we care for them, that there is support for them. And that's also the reason why we are having our very first Pride Health Fair this coming Saturday at Copperton Community Park here in Lakeport from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's going to be a big family event. One of the things that I focus on in my work is the social determinants of health, and one of those is social and community context. And so if you do not feel safe and welcome in your community, that has an effect on your health. You will have chronic health issues. You have chronic stress, chronic toxic stress, and that affects you physically. And so the entire point of this event is to make our LGBTQIA2S+ community members, neighbors, friends, family, loved ones feel safe in our community. And so it is a big family event. There's going to be, I believe, 25 different booths there with resources. There's going to be food vendors, activities, games, and we just want people to come have fun and feel safe. And Thank you.
So when I saw the flyer for this event, I was really struck by the design and asked if we could have a flag made so that we can hang it on the courthouse, which we have been doing for the last several years. But Layla, can you please show off this beautiful flag?
Absolutely. I'm going to need some tall people to help me.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, wow. Okay, so it's going to be vertical. Yes.
There we go.
Thank you. Oh, and we're flipping it.
Flip it. Just tell me where you're
There you go. Yep.
There we go.
There we go. It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
So talk about that.
Yeah, of course. And so I wanted to create something that was both inclusive and specific to Lake County. So here we have the outline of Lake County. And this is the Progress Pride flag that is inclusive of intersex folks as well as Two-Spirit. So I can talk about all the different flags. So the yellow with the purple circle is the intersex pride flag. We have the trans pride flag, BIPOC folks, the traditional rainbow flag that has been standing for LGBTQ plus folks for ages, as well as the two feathers for Two-Spirit folks. And so just trying to represent as many people as I can. And these people exist here in Lake County, and we should acknowledge it and be supportive. And thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
Don't fold it up. We need it for our picture.
Hi, everyone. I just want to thank everyone for showing up and, in an effort of Pride Prom and this proclamation, thank you for everyone coming to support. I just want to quickly note, through Edward Community Services, our Harbor Youth Resource Center, located in Main Street, is offering a Pride Prom on June 15th at 5 p.m. 14th. That's why I have my staff here. Thank you. Just to support everything that's going on this month, even outside this month and outside this event on this weekend, the Harbor Youth Resource Center is a safe place for all youth 14 to 24 that either identify LGBTQ plus or anyone outside of that demographic. But we just want to continue our efforts to supporting this marginalized group and have a good event and a good month.
Great.
Thank you. If anyone's interested in flyers, we also have some physical ones, but we also have a Facebook and Instagram page where you're able to sign up. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone from the board?
I just appreciate the work of our county to make sure that we're providing equal opportunities and respect for all people. Thank you.
All right. You have something? Yes, and on behalf of some of my family members who are Two-Spirited, I appreciate you adding that clause into it. I've also served in the military with LGBTQ plus folks, and they were good soldiers. So, I just wanted to add that. Anyone from the public that would like to come up? All right, with that, Sam, it looks like we need a picture now.
Why don't we come in the middle? Okay. Then we can put the flag over. Ooh, there we go. Flag over this thing. Let's see. I don't know where I'm follow you.
You're not hiding in the back.
It's a vertical flag, yeah.
No.
Just scooching closer, everybody.
Take a panoramic shot.
Okay.
Would you like to hold this with me, the proclamation?
Sure, if I can.
Yes, sorry.
I'll be on the side.
Oh, no? Okay, good.
Hey, appreciate it.
Good job, Layla.
All right. And so real quick, we will move on to B, which is present LGBTQIA2S plus pride flag to be displayed at the county courthouse for the month of June. So it looks like we need to have either, it's a vote, right? Right. And so if there's any discussion from the board, if not, I'll open it up to the public briefly. All right, we'll bring it back to the board for action.
Move to approve of placing the flag on the courthouse building.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Lloyd?
Clarification, that's for the month of June 2025.
For the month of June.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 500. Next, we are on 6.5, presentation of proclamation designating June 2025 as Older Americans and Dependent Adult Awareness Month. Supervisor Pyska will be presenting this. And if you're here on behalf of this item, please come up and join Supervisor Pyska.
Board of Supervisors, County of Lake, State of California proclamation designating June 2025 as Older American and Dependent Adult Awareness Month. Whereas Lake County seniors and dependent adults are valued members of society, and it is our collective desire to ensure they live safely and with dignity. Whereas Older Americans Month, established by the Administration for Community Living in 1963, is a time to recognize older Americans' contributions, highlight aging trends, and reaffirm commitments to serving the older adults in our communities. Whereas the 2025 theme of Older Americans Month, Flip the Script on Aging, focuses on transforming how society perceives, talks about, and approaches aging, encouraging individuals and communities to challenge stereotypes and dispel misconceptions. And whereas the population of Californians over 60 years of age is expected to increase 166% during the period from 2010 to 2060, inclusive, with more than one half of the county seeing a 100% increase in this age group. And whereas research by the National Institute of Justice found that 11% of older adults reported experiencing at least one form of mistreatment in the past year, including emotional, physical, or sexual abuse, neglect, or financial exploitation. And whereas abuse of elder and dependent adults is a tragedy inflicted on vulnerable adults and an ever-increasing problem in today's society that crosses socioeconomic boundaries, and whereas combating the abuse of elder and dependent adults will help improve the quality of life for all citizens and will allow elder and dependent adults to continue to live as independently as possible and contribute to the vibrancy of Lake County. And whereas Lake County is committed to raising awareness about issues facing elder and dependent adults and helping all individuals thrive in communities for as long as possible. And whereas Lake County promotes building safer communities for all of our citizens, and whereas increased awareness of issues of elder and adult dependent abuse increases the likelihood of reporting and successfully prosecuting those who abuse Lake County's vulnerable seniors and dependent adults. And whereas all older adults and persons with disabilities have the right to live safely in the least restrictive environment, whether in their home or in healthcare facilities, and to enjoy an optimum quality of life while being protected from all forms of injustice. And whereas private citizens and public agencies must work to combat crime and violence against older adults and adults with disparities by identifying and preventing the social isolation of older adults through the expansion and resourcing of home and community-based long-term support and service programs by increasing training of law enforcement, increasing public awareness, and expanding social service programs. And whereas Elder and Dependent Adult Abuse Awareness Month in California aligns with World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, first established in 2006 and observed on June 15th every year, and created to promote a better understanding of the cultural, social, economic, and demographic issues associated with abuse around the globe. And whereas on June 10th, 2019, Governor Newsom issued Executive Order number N1419, calling for the development of a 10-year master plan for aging, the MPA, to serve as a blueprint for state government, local government, the private sector, and philanthropy to prepare the state for the coming demographic changes and continue California's leadership in aging, disability, and equity. And whereas Goal 3 of the MPA, Inclusion and Equity, Not Isolation, resulted in the establishment of the California Elder and Disability Justice Coordinating Council, which brings together agency representatives and stakeholders working to strengthen the system of services for older adults and dependent adult victims of abuse and neglect. And whereas all Californians are strongly encouraged to report suspected abuse of an elder or dependent adult by calling their local adult protective services agency, long-term care, ombudsman program, law enforcement, or emergency services agencies. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Lake County Board of Supervisors, along with the Lake County Department of Social Services, does hereby designate June 2025 as Older American and Dependent Adult Awareness Month, passed and adopted this third day of June 2025, signed by our Chair of the Board of Supervisors, Eddie Crandall.
Thank you, Board. I'm Rachel Dillman-Parsons. I'm the Social Services Director as well as the Executive Director of the Area Agency on Aging for Lake and Mendocino counties. And I will note that both EJ and Jessica sit on the AAA's board. So I thank them for their dedication to our aged population. I would also like to thank all of the senior centers and the IHSS providers, all of our partners out there who are serving our community, the elderly and the disabled. And I would love to thank our staff as well. Amy Szymanski, who is our Deputy Director over Adult Services, which includes protective services and in-home supportive services, and now also includes the Area Agency on Aging. We've got Diana with us as well, Dina Eddings, who is over the AAA. Deborah Dawkins is our long-term care ombudsman, and also not here, but they are a large part of serving this population as well as our eligibility crew. They help enroll these individuals who are most vulnerable in public assistance benefits. So I would like to call on the public, if you are interested in engaging with this population, to consider volunteerism. Our senior centers are always looking for volunteers. If you're interested in being a Meals on Wheels driver, Dina can hook you up with that. And if you're interested in being a long-term care ombudsman, Deborah Dawkins, our long-term care ombudsman, is accepting volunteers to that program too. So thank you everyone for your support. Sorry for the very long proclamation. It is an important one, and thank you.
Hi, Amy Szymanski, Deputy Director over Adult Services Programs. As Rachel mentioned, I just want to add an extra shout out to the staff who work those programs. This is the work that's close to my heart. Everyone you read about is the people that we serve, and we have a lot of hardworking people out there working for the in-home support system and the APS system and all of those other things. So without all of you, the work could not get done, and I just want to thank everyone who's here and who's not. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Joseph. I work with community care management as a social worker for elders, and just want to say that everybody involved from IHSS to APS is paramount in the care for these elders. It's been amazing to see, working firsthand with people, that a difference can really be made in visibility. So thank you again for being here, and hope to continue on the good work.
The support that is offered to the seniors and the volunteers that contribute, sometimes this is the only contact that they receive throughout their days and weeks. So it's really important that we maintain these strong connections with these very valuable members of our community, which Lake County does have a higher percentage than most counties of seniors in our community. And I do want to say, because we're going into fire season now, this is one of our vulnerable sectors of our community. It's really important to, reach out to your senior neighbors and friends and family members, just to remind them of how to prepare themselves. If they need help with defensible space, lend a hand. We do have a defensible space program through Lake County Resource Conservation District. It's limited in funds right now, but I do want to prioritize the seniors that need this assistance. So if you know of seniors that are struggling with defensible space and keeping themselves safe, reach out to me and we'll see how we can get them some help. But it takes all of us working on behalf of this group to make sure that they feel supported, that they can live in their homes as long as necessary or as long as they want to. And just really remind us all that they are so important and valuable to all of us, and a bright part of our community.
Anybody from the board? Go ahead.
I think that on the spectrum of our community, both sides are young children, and our elders are some of the most vulnerable in our communities, and these programs are absolutely critical to ensuring that they have their needs met and not get left behind. It's so difficult these days, especially we have so many seniors that are on fixed income, and their needs are increasing by the day as their bills keep increasing by the day as well. I've seen firsthand at our senior centers the work that they do. It's amazing, and thank you so much for all the programs that you run and the lives that you impact.
Well, Bruno, you stole my speech. I would like to add to that, though, that the increase in living, whether it be property taxes or food, is continuing going up, which really hinders them when they are on a fixed income and retired, because their income is not going up. And so programs that can help them, because a lot of them I know have been caught right there in the middle, where they, because they've worked, they are making enough that they don't qualify for many of the benefits, but they're really struggling to make ends meet. So thank you.
Thank you for bringing the proclamation and for all the work that you guys do to take care of our seniors.
All right. So I'll just, I'll go on another, focus. I really feel, I'm sensitive to this because my grandfather was targeted by a younger person who gave him companionship that he longed for. My grandmother passed away 20 years before him. And a lot of times people do this, whether it be male or female or LGBTQ or whatever the case may be, because seniors they yearn for that. They have resources, or they're on fixed incomes, and they'll do anything for that special moment, or they even have clout. And some people with personal agendas go to them and use whatever they can to take advantage. And I think that's just despicable, right? Mm-hmm. And so the work that you do, a lot of the programs that are put in place, the senior centers that are really giving them, at least that piece of that piece, really, just giving them that moment to congregate and eat meals, have the opportunity to be provided services. That's just, it's important, especially in our county, when you consider how many people, our seniors. And so for all the folks that do this work, it's very special, and, we honor you for doing that, and thank you for doing this proclamation.
We do have a proclamation for each of the senior centers here, too. Yes. Want to come up?
Oh, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this? I thought she was coming up to talk. Yeah.
No, she's got to be in the picture.
Oh, all right. No? Okay. Well, let's close it. Let's get a picture. Yes.
Yeah, right here. No, you stay. The one behind you. The woman behind you.
This way? Okay.
Now we got everybody. Oh, yay. Okay, that was a great shot. I'm going to get one more just in case. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to have to move on to our 8.1. It's our 10 o'clock, right? Do we have to go to that or no? We don't have to? Okay. Sorry about that. We will move on to actually our 6.6, which is we're sitting as the Lake County Housing Commission. Consideration of resolution of the Lake County Housing Commission, LCHC Board of Commissioners authorizing the voluntary transfer of LCHC's entire housing choice voucher, HCV, emergency housing voucher, EHV, and Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing, VASH, VASH, assistance programs and associated annual contributions contract to the Regional Housing Authority. And it looks like we have Rachel here and Supervisor Sabatier. And, yeah, it has moved down. Are you presenting or you're just moving down? So okay. All right, and Deborah's here with us as well on the board. So we'll go ahead and give the floor to you, Rachel.
Good morning, Board. I'm Rachel Dillman Parsons, again, Social Services Director and Executive Director for the Lake County Housing Commission. As brought to you, I think, a month or two ago, we are moving towards consolidating with the Regional Housing Authority. This will bring better services to Lake County. As a small housing authority, the Lake County Housing Commission struggles to do things like develop property so that we can bring low-income rentals to the community. And Regional Housing Authority has the ability and experience to do that, along with many other great things. So our resolution is required by HUD in order to move towards that consolidation process. We would like to consolidate as soon as possible. I'm not sure if July will be possible, which is why the resolution is worded July or as soon thereafter as HUD approves. And RHA has already completed the resolution. So we are ready to take the next step upon your approval of our resolution. So we're requesting your board, sitting as LCHC, approve and authorize the chair to sign.
All right. Any questions from the board? Supervisor Sabatier?
I want to appreciate the fact that you brought this to us in the first place. I think it's a great idea. I'm looking forward to project vouchers, seeing what's possible, and looking forward to approving this.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone from the public that would like to speak on behalf of this item 6.6? No hands in Zoom. Bring it back to the board for action.
I have one question on it.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Okay, so is it a total of 5 million per year? Is that a yearly, was that?
Let me pull it up. The information there, yes, is annual totals, and that would be what HUD issues to us for administration of the program, payment of vouchers. And so if we are handing those vouchers to Rural Housing Authority, they take that funding to administer the program.
So it's 2107 per voucher? 2,000?
It doesn't break out equally. It depends on the number of people in the family and their income. Most households are required to pay a portion towards their housing expenses, and we subsidize a portion. And the amount we pay is larger based on the number of people in the household, and it is set by regional market rates, the maximum that we will pay for a household in the area. Although households can ask for an exception if they are disabled and need some sort of special accommodation and different sort of housing situation.
Okay, so the 2107 was the maximum? Is that what that was?
Let me pull it up.
And then 229 houses?
Yeah, that's the actual vouchers we have. We haven't issued that many out, but that's how many we would pass to the rural housing authority. The 2,107 is the number of vouchers that the regional housing authority has, and the 229 is the number that Lake County Housing Commission has.
Oh, I see. Okay, I thought that was a dollar amount.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. And we can change up to 30% to project-based vouchers, which is part of the reason why we're not immediately issuing. We want to save that 30% in order to turn them into project-based vouchers.
Okay. I was just wondering what the total month, or, monthly, and then the total cost was for us.
There's no cost to us once we hand it to the regional housing authority. They take over everything.
Oh, okay.
If you're asking what my department is funding, that HUD's allocation doesn't cover, they cover most of the vouchers. I'm able to move the administrative funds they give me into covering the vouchers. So a lot of the time, if I don't have enough to cover the vouchers, I take the administrative funds to cover the vouchers, and then I am backfilling to pay for my staff with other more flexible funds within my department. The Regional Housing Authority is more diverse. They have more funding sources. They've already developed property, and they have income being generated from that property. And they won't have to do that in order to support the program.
Thank you.
Supervisor Sabatier?
Just real quick, the 226 or 229, sorry, I'm going in blind. I don't have my computer here. Those include HUD-VASH vouchers as well. Is that correct?
That is
Those are going to be transferred over to the RHA. So my question, because that's really important, at least to the work that I do at the COC, but also very important nonetheless. Just want to have a quick question about the RHA. I don't remember, and I apologize. Are we going to be getting a semi-annual or an annual report on the work that they're providing to our community members and how that's working?
You're going to be, or somebody from here, two somebodies, will be sitting on their board. And that is certainly something you can move for as one of the board members.
Very cool. Thank you.
All right, so I brought it back for action, so whenever we're ready.
I'll offer the resolution.
Resolution has been offered.
I'll second that.
Okay, oh wait, what are we? Commissioner Owen?
Aye.
Commissioner Sabatier?
Aye.
Commissioner Rasmussen?
Aye.
Commissioner Pyska?
Yes.
Commissioner Figueroa?
Aye.
And Commissioner Crandall?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, resolution has been passed. Let's see here. So that's all we need for that one, right? Okay, so 6.7, this is the same, this is the same, no? Okay, something totally different, all right. I just noticed housing. Thank you very much, Rachel. All right, and thank you very much, Ms. Figueroa. Thank you. All right, 6.7, public hearing, consideration and discussion of permanent local housing allocation, PLHA grant, 5-year plan amendment, and B, consideration of resolution authorizing the application and amending the PLHA plan for the permanent local housing allocation program. Lisa.
Good morning, Board. Lisa Judd, Deputy County Administrative Officer Housing. This morning, I'd like to bring to you, in December 2024, your board approved by resolution MOU between County of Lake, City of Lakeport, and City of Clear Lake authorizing the formation of the Lake County Regional Housing Trust Fund for the purpose of addressing county-wide housing needs in coordination with the two cities. The Regional Housing Trust Fund provides a mechanism to accumulate PLHA and other funds to be used for projects and programs. The county allocated your board allocated $847,981 in PLHA funds to obtain and used for housing projects and programs. The county allocated these funds in the MOU pending HCD approval. Today I bring to you the HCD resolution so that we can facilitate the amendment for those PLHA funds.
All right. Questions? Supervisor Sabatier?
So I have absolutely zero problems with this. I just had a question that popped in my mind. I know that in the past we've done some work with PLHA, for example. A lot of that went for the Collier Avenue and other things like that. If by chance will we be open to projects that may pop up that could use the PLHA and we can do an amendment to what is being offered here, or are we kind of set in stone with the approval we provide here today?
So it would go through the Lake County Regional Housing Trust Fund, but it would have to comply with the PLHA fund requirements.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Thank you. All right. I will open it up to the public. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to speak on this item? If not, I'll bring it back to the board and go ahead, Lloyd.
Yes, for your board's consideration, because it does have an additional, or what is labeled as an attachment titled corrected -PLHA reso with 5-year plan amendment, and just for clarification for staff that is the document that staff is requesting the board to adopt as a resolution. Is that correct?
That is correct. And there is a correction on the date. There was a typo. It should be for the 2021 to 2023.
And just for further clarification, when was this document uploaded?
Yesterday.
So it would be offering the resolution as amended, as reflected by that document for your board's consideration.
So moved.
Oh, all right. Is it offered or?
Yes, it would be offered a resolution with the as amended.
As amended.
All right. And there's a butterfly.
Supervisor Owen.
Aye.
Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Supervisor Rasmussen.
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska.
Yes.
And Supervisor Crandall.
Aye. All right, resolution has passed. Do we need, no, that covers both, right? Or do we need to do B? We covered B with the resolution portion, because the first was the public hearing. Just want to make sure, because,
And that would be B.
okay, good. Just making sure. All right, thank you very much on that, and that covers everything on there. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Recommendation.
Your 10 o'clock
Okay.
public hearing.
So we will move on to 8.1, sitting as the Board of Equalization Assessment Appeal Hearings. Assessment Appeal Hearing Reconsideration of Request by the Appellant to continue the following Assessment Appeal Application Number 02-2024 through 09-2024, Donica LLC. And this is brought by County Council.
Yes, and so as a preliminary matter for purposes of this public hearing, your board may want to swear in any witnesses who was willing to testify related to this hearing.
All right. Whenever you're ready. What's that? Oh, so you want to sit on, you choose your side and then he can choose his side, yeah? Just like dugouts in a baseball game, just pick a side.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
We swearing in?
Yes, we have to swear in. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, and so if there's anyone on Zoom that needs to swear in as a testament to speak on behalf of this item, please unmute and turn your camera on, raise your right hand, and
I don't believe we have any Zoom participants.
Zoom. All right, so if you're here and you're going to give testimony, please raise your right hand. All right. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Lloyd?
So, Mr. Chair, my office is the one who submitted this memo. So for your board's reference as background information, if I may, on February 25, 2025, your board did consider the cited assessment appeal numbers that were filed by Donica LLC. And at that hearing, your board denied the assessment appeal applications that were filed by Donica LLC. Since that time, on or about March 5, 2025, Donica LLC's attorney submitted correspondence essentially requesting a reinstatement and rescheduling of the hearing, citing in part, citing Title 18 California Code of Regulations, Section 323A, which states in part that the applicant and/or assessor shall be allowed one postponement as a matter of right. And so the procedures that we're working under here for purposes of what's being requested here, which is a request for reconsideration or rehearing, is located on Title 18 of California Code of Regulations, Section 326A2, which I've outlined here in the board memo. That is part of your board's consideration. So, in light of what was cited, this background information, this assessment appeal hearing is before your board to reconsider Donica LLC's request to continue the hearing on the aforementioned assessment appeal numbers to a later date. So that's what's before your board today.
Dave, did you want to?
No, it's there.
Okay.
They're.
May
All
we
right.
distribute? I'm sorry, I've not been recognized yet.
Go ahead, sir, go ahead and speak into the mic.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members of the board. Good morning, Assessor's Office. My name is Michael LeBeau. I'm the attorney for Mr. Rivera's and Donica LLC. It is my letter to your chief counsel that instigated this request for reinstatement, and I would like to make a presentation on that if the board will allow, please, and I have written materials in support of my position.
Does the board want to commence with the presentation? Okay. Yeah. All right, so if you want to pass those out.
Please do. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
I guess I have
please.
a brief question. So we are doing a reconsideration of what was simply a continuation. So today's action is basically a rehash of whether we continue this to a future date or not. As far as I'm concerned, that's how I'm reading the memo, and that's how I'm reading what we're doing. Last time we were here, we were provided information that everything had been zeroed out due to the sale of the building, so no money was owed, and that there was no standing for Donica. Therefore, that's why we denied the appeal, not because we didn't agree with you, but because we were told there was no standing. And so I know you're giving us a pile of information, but I guess my question is, prior to going through any of this information, I guess my question is there standing? And if there is standing, at that point, our only decision is whether we continue or not, because we're not here for a actual appeal process. So I'm just kind of confused as to what's our first move and what's our first steps, because if there is no standing, I feel like we're wasting everybody's time by having conversations. And so if Mr. Guintavano can help out, I'm slightly confused to our process and what needs to happen first.
And that is correct. So what's immediately before your board today is a reinstatement or a reconsideration of your board's decision from February 25, 2025. The request that was made to your board on that date was a request for a continuance or a request for postponement, and part of the argument that Donica LLC submitted in support of that is citing Title 18 California Code of Regulations, Section 323, which states that the applicant and/or assessor shall be allowed one postponement as a matter of right. So if your board decides to grant the reconsideration of that, that will then lead to your board your board's decision and your board's discretion to continue the hearing to a later date, not necessarily get into the merits of the appeal itself. And so on February 25, 2025, standing was raised as an argument from the assessor recorder in support of the assessor recorder's request to deny that continuance request. So you are correct that standing may be an issue here, and the parties may speak to that and present any arguments or evidence to that effect as to why they would have standing. But the determination of that is strictly at this procedural juncture is just to determine whether or not the request for continuance filed by Donica LLC should be granted, so that there would be a continuance to a later date, not on the merits.
Right. And then is that what this is just to consider that?
This presentation considers those two issues, whether the continuance or the postponement request, it was a written postponement request, not a continuance request, should have been granted. And it also establishes that, in our opinion, Donica has standing to file the appeal that was presented and to put forth our case regarding that.
Supervisor's about to.
And to clarify, we do not expect to go into evaluation hearing today. We do not have our appraiser. I don't think the assessor has their materials to do that either. This is just to determine whether the application should be reinstated.
Okay, I guess I have a simple question, because I believe in the state code, as far as what qualifies you of having standing would be an applicant, somebody who has economic impact by what you've done. Looks like we went back all the way to 16, 17 for the tax years. And I guess my only question I have is, were you paying those taxes? And this is a conversation about what you paid that you were appealing was not at the right base level.
The materials describe who has standing. We believe that the board was ill-informed as to who has standing to file an appeal. I cite the State Board of Equalization Assessment Appeals Handbook. I cite the regulation, and I cite the statute to support our position that we have standing. And that's part of my presentation. And
Can I ask the same question again with a yes or no answer? Yeah. Were taxes paid from the 16, 17 and on by Donica on this property, and that's why we're here to have this conversation?
That's why we need to go through the legal analysis of who has standing, because who pays the taxes is immaterial as to whether or not you have standing. Again, I believe this board was ill-informed as to who qualifies to have standing, and I was going to take the board through the analysis of why Donica has standing to file these appeals. Donica received an offer to purchase the property. The taxes were due and payable. The taxes were deducted from what Donica was paid for the property. Donica paid an economic price for those taxes, and I have the closing statement with me to show that. But that's not the analysis that's required to determine whether or not Donica has standing. The standing regulations are in the handbook, in the statute, and in the reg. And I'd like to go through it, if I may, please.
Supervisor Pyska.
Yeah, and I just want to know from County Council what the recommendation is and your opinion of standing.
Well, at this juncture, your board may consider any presentation or arguments, because you've heard from Donica LLC and the council here and the attorney from the assessor recorder on their position as to the standing issue, if they have any. And your board at this point, for purposes of this proceeding, to take in those arguments and evidence to determine as a threshold whether there is standing. And if there is standing, what's still before your board is to reconsider, to determine whether reconsideration would be granted.
All right, so I think first and foremost, I want to ask the board, do you even want to go through? I think it's...
Personally, I think that we need to hear what he has to say.
I guess I have another question, if that's possible.
Yes, please.
Mr. Schwinger, are you ready to either agree or argue against the standing today, or are you not ready for that?
I just came to answer any questions. We didn't bring a presentation for today. We presented the last appeals hearing, and that was all we were going to do today.
So
Richard Ford
I'm asking yes or no questions. I'm not getting yes or no from anybody. This is
Rich,
kind of
can you come up,
difficult.
please?
So no presentation.
And so if there's no presentation and they're giving us a
Right.
packet that I need to read in order to do anything, I just want to say, approve the continuance, come back when you're both ready, and let's have a conversation.
Right.
And if you can't have standing, then it's going to be an easy conversation. But at this moment, the continuance by state right should be allowed. I say this is simple. We just allow the continuance. That's my personal opinion.
Rich, did you want to come forward?
Yeah, do I need to be sworn in?
Please.
Or do I just go before the mic?
You'd have to be sworn in.
Yeah, you'd probably have to be sworn in real fast.
Do you want their presentation?
No.
Okay, with your right hand raised, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
All right, Rich, please.
So let me clarify this just a quick second. So traditionally in our office, any of these points of question in any appeal, any situation, we're going to reevaluate our backup, right? And so I asked staff just recently, because this came up again, right? So we're going to reevaluate it, double check it. Came to my attention, I did look at the closing statements. We feel that they do have standing, and we are going to change our position. As we do always when we relook at something, we'll look at it through fresh eyes. Our opinion is because the closing statement is essentially an income statement. Debits work essentially as expenses, and because the debits were in the column for Donica, it becomes an expense. At that point, indirectly, he did pay it. So he does have standing in the appeal. Now, the part that makes it, and I want to reiterate this point, the part that made this very confusing for staff is because the lack of payment previously. When it's paid at that point, if staff is not very familiar with, the statements, the financials of it, it's not going to be very clear. And so that always helps to pay your taxes as you go. The other point is lack of a bill or lack of information about your property tax does not legally preclude you from paying property tax. So I just want to make that point. That is always the case. It's kind of like lack of knowledge of the law does not allow you to violate the law, right? Same concept. So just want to make sure that is clear. That's our presentation, our position today, because we relook at it, as we do every time a question comes up in a property. I ask staff, go back, relook at the paperwork, go back, look at anything we have, ask any questions, anything about anything with backup, and we did. I looked at it closely myself, and I came to that conclusion.
With that being said, do we want to continue? Because I think if the further we spend, we have a long agenda. So if we're ready to continue, Lloyd?
And unless there's any other testimony, which your board may still allow on these narrow issues, staff is prepared to walk the board through with what I'm counting as 2 motions.
Okay.
Essentially.
Please.
In line with what the board is tentatively leaning towards.
Yes. So I've seen head shake yes, and so we're ready to do just that, Lloyd. Do you have a date and time certain or anything?
No, can we leave that open, please?
Okay.
Yes. More than likely, it'll be on our next appeal date.
Okay. Excellent. Lloyd?
So the first motion for your board would be to move a motion to grant the reconsideration of assessment appeal number 02-2024 through 09-2024.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries 500.
And then the second motion deals with the continuance to a date, and typically under the property tax rules, typically it would be for a date and time certain. So if
we know when the next appeals are.
It's in the fall, approximately.
So if
we had set them up on our calendars.
Right, if the clerk of the board may have that date and
Let's say November-ish.
Yeah, she's finding it right now.
November 11 is traditionally Veterans Day. I believe Mr. Assessor just said that the next appeals hearings are in November, which is very typical for this time of year in the assessor's office when they're trying to close the roll.
We typically do 2 a year, traditionally, in the last couple of years. And so our next cycle comes up in November. And should go to the date.
The applicant would prepare the 4th, please. On the 4th. Thank you.
All right.
So the motion would be to move to continue the hearing on assessment appeal number 02-2024 through 09-2024 to a date and time certain, which is November 4, 2025 at 10 a.m. And the continuance is, the motion for the continuance would be based on property tax rule 323.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 500. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Assessor's Office and Appellant. All right. Next will be our 6.8, 10, well, I keep saying the time, it doesn't need to be. Consideration of the March 31st, 2025 report of Lake County pooled investments, and we have the Treasurer Tax Collector.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board. Thank you to the assessor's office and to your council. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Treasurer Tax Collector.
Where are we at? Stop skipping. Wow, what's going on?
Can you add me?
You having issues again?
Yeah, it keeps skipping down to the bottom of the page.
Good morning. Patrick Sullivan, Treasurer Tax Collector. I've lost my voice. I'm just in the process of getting it back, so you may have to bear with me through this presentation. But fortunately, Carlos will be doing the majority of it, so you're in luck. So Carlos Oblitas is here from Chandler Asset Management. We're going to go over the Q3 report on investments. And, all right. It looks like I've been added as a panelist, so I'll put up the share screen momentarily here.
But it was Q2. Or Q3. Q3.
All right, I think we are up and running.
Good morning, supervisors. I want to talk a little bit about the past and also into the future. The past numbers, all good news. We've got very good news through today. Into the future, a little bit more uncertainty. I think that everybody knows that already. I just want to put some figures around it and some ideas. What I would tell you is that the environment that we operated under to be able to generate returns alongside with the county treasury has been an environment where the economy has been late stage in the business cycle and slowing down, but still exhibiting quite a bit of strength. Now, and the numbers that you're going to see are through the quarter end as stated in your packet, but we'll give you a little bit of a peek into the future numbers, and that's certainly because most of the activity in the capital markets have been tied to tariff activity that you're aware of and that you've seen in the news, and that will eventually have an impact on your earnings, and I do want to talk a little bit about that. I stated that the economy has been close to late stage, and I'm going to very briefly hit some numbers here. On page 4, you have the change in non-farm payrolls. It's just a measure of how many jobs we're generating. Generally, there's still strength in there. For the month of March, we generated 228,000 jobs, which is outstanding. Pre-pandemic, we were looking at 110,000 to absorb new entrants into the market. Through the April date, it was 177,000. The May numbers will come out this Friday. Waning coming down, slowing down, but still exhibiting quite a bit of strength. It means that the businesses are still hiring people to be able to do, to expand their payroll, to be able to expand their business, and there's enough demand for their goods and services to be able to do that. The other figure that I want to touch on is inflation, which is when you have a lot of economic activity, you have growth in inflation. Inflation is just simply a rise in prices. It means that the dollars you have can buy you less, so they lose buying power. That number for the month of March was 2.8, which is considered a little bit elevated. For the month of April, that came in at 2.3. That's the chart on the left-hand side. It tells you that there is still enough strength in economic activity in the market to drive prices higher, and this is through the end of March. Certainly was before what you saw with tariffs. Through the end of April, tariffs hadn't really kicked in yet. And then when you want to look at what the consumer's doing, which drives a lot of the economy, on page number 7, we tend to look at retail sales. It's one of the first figures that comes in the beginning of the month, middle of the month. The March number came in at 1.4 month-over-month growth, which is considered decent. It's good. That was revised upwards in April to 1.7 for the March number, but the April number came in at only at 0.1, and you can see that that's already ratcheting back as consumers are tightening the belt because prices are going up partially as a result of tariffs. And then if we look at, flip forward to page, let's go to page number 11. I think that's important. So when we look at how the economy has grown, the economy over the last year, when I just take that bottom row that you're looking at there, those are the annualized quarterly numbers. So it's the growth during those 3 months, and then we give it to you on an annualized basis, the annual equivalent. When I average that out, that averages at about 2.5. So for calendar year 2024, we grew approximately 2.5%, which for the United States is considered decent. The first quarter number you don't have up there, but I'm going to give it to you. It was negative 0.3. It shrank. And most of that was driven by net exports. When you count how the economy grows in the United States, we look at 4 basic sectors. They are consumers, government spending, business investment, and then net exports. And the United States is a net importer nation, so that tends to be a drag number. That was reflective of businesses front-running tariffs. They were trying to get ahead of tariffs, and they increased their imports, which dragged down that number because they were trying to get a hold of goods and services, or goods, I should say, and material for their businesses before prices went up. They were trying to front run it. So we had a negative. The economy shrank last quarter is what I'm trying to say here. So why is this important? Well, it's important because if we go to the next page, the chart on the right-hand side, it's going to tell the Federal Reserve how to move that overnight lending rate between banks, which in turn impacts what you invest in. And if the economy is growing too quickly, they're going to raise that rate, and if the economy is slowing down, they're going to lower that rate. And if they lower that rate, eventually it spells lower earnings for you. For the last 3 meetings that they've had, they've paused. They've not moved that overnight lending rate between banks around. It's been at a range of 4.25 to 4.5. They've kept it there, but their bias is to start lowering it, which in the long run will mean lower earnings for you. When you look at the overall markets, and we turn to the final page, I want to look at the chart on the left-hand side. Those are yields for 2, 5, and 10-year treasuries. That's when you're lending the money to the United States government for a 2-year term, a 5 or a 10-year term. Well, back in March 31st, for 2 years, they paid you $388 per year. That number dropped to $360. It got cheaper. That was simply because there was a rally in the bond markets because people got nervous with the economy and with tariffs. The math works out that when people start buying up bonds, they drive the price up. That in turn pushes the yield down. I can get into the mathematics of it, but that's how it works. So it went from $388 to $360. It lowered. There was a perception that the economy would actually hit a wall faster than anybody anticipated as a result of tariffs. That's back up to $396 today. The 5-year was at $394, dropped as well, down to $373, popped back up to 4% today. And 10-year yields, which were at 4 1/5, 4.2, 4.21, those kind of stayed similar, and then they popped back up. Why are they popping back up? Well, partially it's because you've got a little bit of a rally in the stock markets, and investors are moving back to risk assets and out of less risky assets like bonds that you buy. But partially also is because there's a greater perceived there's a perception by investors that eventually the economy will not do very well, and the credit of the United States is just not going to be as good as it was in the past. Because of tariffs, investors are seeing the value of the dollar as a reserve currency diminish, and the purchase of the safety of U.S. Treasuries diminish vis-a-vis the past. It doesn't mean that they're dumping them. It just means that there's lots of questions as to what this is going to look like in the future. I will also note that Moody's, out of the 3 rating agencies that rate most bonds out there in the United States, they were the final agency that still held the United States Treasury at a AAA rating, the highest rating possible. Standard & Poor's downgraded the United States debt to AA, which is still very strong, but not AAA. They downgraded them a few years ago. Fitch followed through about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Moody's in the past month did that, and they followed through. Now U.S. debt is now rated at AA+. So it's definitely rated lower. What does this all mean to you? Well, it means that you've had a lot of volatility in rates. Rates have moved up and down, and that can impact both your earnings, which hits your budget, because those are spendable dollars that you use to spend. Also, the Treasury handles money for school districts and other participants that are required to be in that Treasury. It means that the earnings are a little bit more volatile for them as well. It also means that the underlying value of the investments has moved up and down. Thus far, through the month of March, the returns were fantastic. The future earnings are still decent, but we anticipate that those earnings may be a little bit lower coming down the line. It will take you a little bit of time to reset into lower rates if lower rates do materialize. And that's simply because the strategy that you follow is a strategy where you maintain your investments on average at around 1.7, 1.8 years. It means that on average, it takes about 1.7, 1.8 years for the portfolio to turn over. It means that as rates fall, you are slower to reset and reinvest into those lower rates into the future than, say, the state pool, which is much lower. They're shorter. They're somewhere around 6 months. Those are the economics. I'm going to hit the numbers, and I'm almost there. I'm wrapped up because I know you have a busy schedule. Page 16, 17, and 18 is just a report on the compliance, whether your portfolio is in compliance with California government code and your investment policy. The answer is yes. Yes, it is. That's always a good thing to do. You were looking for yes and no answers. The answer is yes. If we look at page 19, I want to remind you that your entire investment program comprises 3 components. The first and largest component is the portfolio of securities that is actively managed by your investment advisor, Chandler Asset Management. The second component is a small seasonal liquidity portfolio. It was just a portfolio that we, in conjunction working with the treasurer tax collector, we identified an opportunity to invest very, very short-term cash at an advantage. That's that liquidity portfolio. That's been winding down because that advantage has been going away. We've been very, very tactical about that. And then the third component is the component that's managed in-house. That's using short-term liquidity pools to be able to make day-to-day cash needs available. So that component fluctuates because it includes a bank component, it includes funds in the state pool, it also includes funds in a local government investment pool. So those 3 components, that's what makes up on page 19 the $526 million through March 31st. You were earning a yield of 409. What that means is, as of March 31st, if you looked into the future and nothing changed in this portfolio, your income would amount to 4.09% over the entire program. Through April, that went up to 4.2. And then the market yield was 4.17. The market yield is the yield you would earn on this portfolio had you purchased it on the date of this report. It infers a reinvestment. Think about it like this. If I receive new money, if the Treasury receives new money, they invest it to look like the entire program. They're going to average somewhere around 4.17. So it infers a reinvestment. It means the new money coming in, you're reinvesting at 4.17. Notice that 3 months prior, that was a 4.4. Rates have been dropping. They've been dropping already in the market. Through April, your yield to maturity of 409 was 4.2 I mentioned earlier. That reinvestment, 4.17, is down to 4.08.
It looks like this slide is older without the update.
Oh, okay, yes.
The sweep is not imputed yet.
Okay, yeah, so we had an update to this slide, and I just gave you the updated numbers, which are better than what you're looking at there. In terms of In terms of the makeup of the portfolio, I think I want to go to page 27, and we're going to wrap it up with that. Sorry about that, page 23, and we're going to wrap it up with that. Sorry, I was looking for the makeup of the page 20, I apologize. We're going to wrap it up with that. This is what you're buying. These are the securities that you're buying. When you see the U.S. Treasury component on the far left-hand side of the chart, those are bonds of the United States Treasury. You're lending money to the U.S. government, and you're getting paid rent on that money. That amount makes up about 35% of the portfolio through March 31st. That has been the backbone of your investment program from a safety standpoint. I want to remind you that you have code-mandated objectives of safety, followed by liquidity, then followed by return. And you have to meet safety and liquidity first. You do that by investing in fixed income, debt-bearing securities. These are bonds. You're only allowed to buy these. Short-term, 5 years or shorter. And the sectors that you're allowed to purchase are limited. Treasuries are one of them, and they're still considered, despite all this business with tariffs, they're still considered the safest investments. The second largest component was corporate bonds, about almost 19%, and then you can see all the rest. That cash component encompasses some of those monies that are in the cash sweep where you're earning funds from a money market mutual fund. So I would tell you this from a past performance standpoint, you've done quite well. I ran some return numbers. These aren't yields. I just quoted you yields of what you're looking to earn if nothing changes into the future. That looks good. But if I do a look back through March 31st, the main portfolio, which is the only piece that I can really generate returns on, the main portfolio, you grew that portfolio through March 31st 5.56%. A portion of that, I'd say that about 4/5 of that was from interest income, because interest income is very strong. The remainder is because the value of the underlying securities went up in value. That doesn't hit budget, but it does hit your financial statements, which improves your financial position. And if I were to look at those numbers through April, that number became 6.61. You grew the portfolio for the prior 12 months, 6.61. And most of that, a big chunk of that, again, was from fair value appreciation. So you've done well. Going into the future, the concerns that we have, obviously, are the overall credit quality. The United States government is still considered a very safe credit and a very safe investment. That still will continue to be a large part of your investments. We are concerned about not just tariffs, but about what the impact of the tax bill. It has a name. The official name is Big Beautiful Bill. That's the actual official name. So that bill in its current format increases the deficit and increases the national debt, and investors are not. They're not digesting that very well. We think that will change in one form or another before it gets passed. But it definitely it's seen as something that might drive credit into a little bit of a less stable environment. It's certainly being viewed by investors as something that might push us into a slowdown faster than anticipated. For you buy the safest of investments. That's by design. We continue to diversify those investments. We continue to diversify the maturities in those investments, and the returns have been good. We're just very vigilant as to what that might look like into the future. I'll stop there and take any questions you may have.
Supervisor Sabatier?
Yeah, just a brief question. Thank you so much for these reports. This is actually kind of the darkest of the reports that you've given
Sorry.
us, but still has some positivity points in there. I know I spoke to Mr. Sullivan about certain things. I'm really glad you hit on the Moody, because I had not asked about that credit downgrade. The policy that we put together, does it still give you the flexibility you need within the turbulence that we anticipate to potentially hit in the future, or do we need to at one point sit back down and review our investment policy that we originally did 2 years ago, something like that? Different economic platform to bounce off of. Just kind of wanted to check in and see, do you have the flexibility you need to keep us safe, liquid, and getting the revenues that we're looking for, or do we need at one point to sit back down and review it?
Supervisor Sabatier, the answer is yes. The policy continues to perform as anticipated. It encompasses the latest and greatest in code. Some of the most recent changes to code, which at some point we're going to want to come back and review, will not impact the way that we're managing the funds, and the policy continues to fulfill its role. At this stage, there are no changes needed in any of the provisions in the policy.
Okay. And then I know you mentioned LAIF being 6 months, seemed like we're invested about 0.8%, if I remember off the top of my head. It was a very small amount that we have in LAIF. But yet we're also looking to what we have a high percentage, I think it was 38% or 40% within the 6 to 12 month time frame for maturity on what we're going after in the bond market. Is there a reason we're not in LAIF? Is it less safe than in other places? Just curious.
I absolutely. I can give you the two-word answer, but I also want if your treasurer, because the treasurer tax collector controls that directly. We don't, but we discuss it. We advise on this. So when you're talking about local agency investment fund LAIF, that pool is generally utilized by local governments in California for its most liquid investments. There are other options for your most liquid investments, primarily local government investment pools, LGIP. There's 3 of them in California. We're launching one. We can talk more about that later, but basically those are even shorter than LAIF. And LAIF is a very well-respected, well-run program. It's run from the state treasurer's office. It's got a very good reputation, good staff. They're knowledgeable. Because of the nature of their cash flows and the way that they're structured, their yield right now has been lagging the yield of those local government investment pools, which are generally also well-run. There's also there's an inversion of the yield curve. That's a very technical term. It just means that there's a season right now where the shortest of investments, the shortest maturities, are paying you a higher yield than the longer maturities. It's a temporary thing, and it's been diminishing. Those local government investment pools, by their nature, because they're shorter, can take a little bit of advantage of that, and as a result, they're providing you a higher yield than what LAIF is providing you. That will eventually reverse. LAIF will actually outperform those. It's a timing issue, and right now the timing favors those shorter pools. I don't know if you'd like to add to that.
Yeah, that's actually the point that I was going to highlight, is that there is a time and a place where LAIF has been appropriate for us, and it very well may be that in the next year or so that we start using LAIF again in a way maybe not quite as heavily as we used it before, but it would certainly become part of our portfolio. What we do anticipate happening over the next several months, and I know Carlos already touched on it, was the uncertainty in some of the different federal policies and initiatives has led to concerns for us about predicting cash flow, what our needs are going to be, what the market's going to do. So we do anticipate changing our duration. We want to be more flexible. So I think a lot of our positions are going to go a little bit more liquid. We are going to take greater advantage of the local government investment pools, the LGIPs, which, for instance, we do plan, and your board will see an item in a few weeks. We are going to join with a few other counties to put another pool together. This allows a greater duration for us, more flexibility, sort of a better buying position than we can normally be in on our own. So I think that is one of our main strategies, where it's going to keep these funds liquid for us, but not as liquid as like our overnight money market at the bank. So we can get a better return than we can get at the bank, but I mean, not as great as we can get in some of the other securities. So it's trying to strike that balance. What may be valuable at this point is I do have the other graph that I could share with your board. And this may highlight some of the other things that are going on here. We've been sharing this each quarter. This is the quarterly earnings for the county treasury pool. And this is in actual dollars rather than percentage. So this quarter, or the quarter in question, ending March 31st, we did bring in just over $5 million. So you'll notice again, it has been that continued trend upwards. But as Carlos stated, we don't expect this trend to continue now. If anything, this is likely the peak of where we're at. I don't anticipate returns getting better than this. It in our estimation, begin leveling off. So if there's any questions about that chart, I'm happy to take them.
Can I add something? Completely agree with your treasurer tax collector. This may be the peak. It will likely level off. It will take some time for that to come down. No one is anticipating a return to the far left-hand side of that chart when rates were still zero. Right now, most investors and economists are anticipating that you may see lower rates over the next 24 months, but nothing to what we were living in pre and during the pandemic.
Supervisor Pyska?
Well, right, but pre and during the pandemic, we didn't have a
We weren't
portfolio.
investing.
So I think that's the biggest point of why it looks like that. But I just, I want to not take up too much time. I just want to thank you for bringing the more updated information, because when I was looking through this, I was like, oh, March, that's so long ago. So much has happened. So thank you for that. It is unfortunate because I think we were anticipating this to rise a little bit more. But this is where we are now today. And my other question was on increasing liquidity, but you've already answered that. So thank you, Carlos.
All right. Open it up to the public if there's anyone that would like to speak on this item. On Zoom? We have a hand in Zoom. Please unmute. No hands. Okay. No hands in Zoom. Bring it back to the board. This is a presentation. And do we vote to accept it? Yes. So if there is a...
I move to accept the pooled investment report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Thank you very much, Carlos.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. You good? Do we need a break?
Yes.
All right. Let's take a 5-minute break.
I can ask my
Come back at 11:20. 6.9, consideration of presentation on becoming a resource family for foster youth.
Good morning again, Board. Rachel Dillman Parsons, Lake County Social Services, with May 2025, including a proclamation for foster care parent appreciation. We wanted to bring a presentation to you regarding resource families for foster children. We know you're busy, so we're going to try and keep it to 10 minutes or less. I have staff here who will be making the presentation. They are currently online, so take it away.
So sorry. Hi, my name is Sherry De La Torre. I am the program manager over the Resource Family Approval Unit, and I'm here with the RFA supervisor, Casey Blue, and the two social workers, Elizabeth Siha and Amber Linder. And if you could go to the, okay. Today, we will be talking to you about resource homes and answering questions about what a resource home is, why are more resource homes needed in Lake County, how does someone apply to become a resource home, and if you become a resource home but your personal life gets in the way, what can we do for you? And if you can't be a full-time resource parent, how can you still help? So resource homes were once known as foster family homes. These homes provide safe and stable homes for foster youth to reside when a youth must be placed out of their home. Resource families can be anyone who applies and meets eligibility requirements.
Although the number of resource homes have increased substantially in Lake County since 2017, we still need homes. We still have kids that get placed out of county because we don't have enough resource family homes. From June 2023 to June 2024, we had an average of 71 youth placed in out-of-home care. On average, 49 of the youth were placed in Lake County. This number could increase if we were able to secure more resource homes. It is very important for our youth to stay in Lake County as it lessens the disruption. It keeps them in the community that they know. And then when they are trying to work on reunifying with their parents, it allows them to be able to do visits and do community events and stuff like that within the lake in the county.
So why should anyone become a resource home? Well, you can provide a home to someone who is in need of a safe place to live. You can make a difference in a youth's life by being a positive role model. And youth who come into care have already suffered trauma. Youth without a placement, they can feel hopeless, alone, and to blame for their situation. You can help prevent a youth from feeling this way. The application process to become a resource home. First, you will need to submit the application paperwork. Next, the agency will work with you to set up a home evaluation, your fingerprinting, and family assessment. You'll also need to take a variety of training, which includes CPR and first aid, which is provided free of charge and done online. Once you become a resource home, you'll be compensated when the youth is placed with you so that you can help the youth meet their needs.
Sometimes lives can get complicated when dealing with or being a resource parent. You know, kids could, you need a break. Kids are getting overwhelming. You have a job event that you have to go to, a funeral, trainings. We can provide a respite. So a respite provider is, an alternate caregiver that, is either approved or somebody that is, you guys, resource parent trusts. We may have to fingerprint them. But there is resources out there to be able to help give a resource parent that break so that they don't feel overwhelmed and alone in this whole process.
If you still want to support a resource home and you can't be a resource home, we do have a program that we collaborate with another program called Foster Neighbor. And the Foster Neighbor program are volunteers, and you commit to connecting with a resource home or even a family that is in family maintenance and provide them with one meal a month. And if you need more information about the Foster Neighbor program, any of us would be able to help you get that information and get you set up with that. This final slide is all of our contact information. If you have anybody that is interested, please feel free to reach out to us. And if you all have any questions, we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
And it should be noted that our application is an online application through Benti, and the link is on our on the county webpage under foster care.
Thank you.
All right, any questions from the board? Anyone from the public?
Okay, thank you for your time, and reach out if you want to be a foster parent.
Thank you very much, Rachel. And thank you online. All right.
Oop, I gotta stop sharing, sorry.
All right, we'll move on to our 6.10. Public hearing consideration of proposed ordinance designating fire hazard severity zones in the local responsibility areas in the unincorporated lands of Lake County. And it looks like we have Director Turner coming up to present this. And we are now only 15 minutes behind, so we've caught up somewhat.
Good morning, Mireya Turner, Community Development Director. We would like to request a 1-week continuance on this item, please. I inadvertently omitted the public input that we received during our 90-day public review period for these fire maps, and would like to have the opportunity to make sure that the public and the board has time to review those comments.
Supervisor Sabatier?
I guess it's a question for County Council. I'd like to engage in discussion just in case that it kind of changes what comes before us, because my goal today was to persuade my colleagues to do something slightly different than what was being proposed to us. Would that be something we could discuss, or do I need to just forego that and wait till it comes back?
Lloyd?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the request before your board today is just a continuance date. It appears that staff would need more time to gather the information and the documents that may result in something substantively different from what's being proposed here, even though what is anticipated is just the first approval of the first reading of the ordinance, but the contents of such ordinance may or may not change depending on what needs to be gathered or the information or documents that still need to be gathered, uploaded. That is the basis for for staff's request to the board for a continuance. Now, the other option, of course, for any member of your board is to consult with staff as to the status or any of the inner details of what may lead up to, if it gets continued, what may lead up to the content of that proposed ordinance for first reading. That may be an option.
So I really don't know if that helped me out at all. We have a timeline. This needs to be done by the end of June. And so we have a very limited number of meetings in order to get this done. If we postpone without discussion and it comes back, and then this board does agree that we need to make these changes, then it potentially needs to have another first reading. I would like to engage in discussion, not to approve and move forward today, just to consider what might come back with the public comments at the future continuance of this. Can we engage in that discussion today if we plan to continue?
I suppose to the extent that your board can give some direction or input to staff in preparation for, if it gets continued, this later date for the first reading of the ordinance. So your board always has that option to give direction to staff to take certain things into consideration as staff is moving forward from today to the requested continuance date.
That helps me out a little bit better. Thank you. Can I provide my statements, or would you rather I wait after Director Turner provides a little bit more background information?
Hi, Director Turner.
Thank you. What you have before you today is an update to the fire hazard severity maps. These are done on I wouldn't say regular, rare occurrence, through conference at the state level for both state responsibility areas and local responsibility areas. The proposed changes are a significant increase in fire hazard severity for a majority of the county, and is required to have gone through a 90-day public review period. We did receive, our public review period started on February 12th, concluded on May 12th. We did receive a small number of emails. According to the code, a local jurisdiction is not allowed to reduce the fire hazard severity. However, you do have the option to increase the fire hazard severity on parcels. These maps were available online at a website. What was that website? ready.lakecountyca.gov. They also were printed in large formats and available to view at the Community Development Department. We had them on the walls. A number of parcels are split in their designation. Some a portion of a parcel will be moderate, and another parcel might be severe or might not be moderate. One thing to note that I think might appreciate, or the board may appreciate in continuing this item, is I would like to have a conversation with the representative at the state level, because some jurisdictions are actually bucking the system, and where those parcels are split, not split zoned, but split in their fire hazard severity, they're actually reducing, which is in opposition to state law. But the closest we could get was a recommendation from this fire representative to confer with county council and our local jurisdiction regarding that action. So, but according to state law, we can raise it, we can increase the fire severity designation, but we can't reduce it.
Okay, thank you.
I have a comment if possible.
Go ahead.
Certainly.
Okay. My big concern is how that's going to, affect our fire insurance rates. Because there's been a huge increase and we're already challenged to get fire insurance in our area. And so I am really concerned about these new maps for that reason.
You are not alone. I think if I remember correctly at the presentation when these first came to the board's awareness, the insurance industry is not supposed to use these maps, but we all know that they do.
And then also the second portion of that is how that might affect your department for building within these zones. Is that going to hinder people that own properties that have been rezoned or redesignated into higher areas, not just for insurance, but for building purposes as well?
In our building code, we do have what's called the WUI, the Wildland Urban Interface, and there are certain requirements in order to build that would still be implemented.
Will this make it harder for them, more difficult? These redesignations?
I think that the lands that would have been added or increased to moderate, which a lot of our county was already in WUI, so I don't know that it's going to be shocking as far as processing building permits. And currently in our zoning ordinance, there is no planning prohibition regarding fire hazard yet.
Okay, I have one more question. I'm sorry. Am I okay?
Go ahead.
And that is this going to reach further into putting requirements on people in those zones as far as what they have to do to maintain their properties or et cetera?
Great question. Simultaneously, I don't think it's directly connected to this, but simultaneously the fire
Marshall.
Thank you. They're launching, well, actually it's CAL FIRE, I think, launching a Zone Zero. This is a very ambitious public outreach effort to help our residents understand the way that they can protect their homes. So Zone Zero is something that's actually a separate effort that's getting launched as well.
Right, and I was aware of the Zone Zero. That's primarily why I'm asking that. I just didn't want to have government overreach in the requirements rather than helping is great, requiring's another issue.
This fire map update is more of a updating the map to reflect current changes. Now, it's not going to be a shock to anybody in Lake County that we have pretty high fire severity threats. Yeah,
Thank you.
I appreciate that, though. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Nobody likes the maps, but I think this is one of the no choices, kind of like the building code updates. We just have to go with it because it's not ours, and if we're out of compliance, then we have other issues as we allow people to build or do things outside of compliance. So I wanted to offer two suggestions. You just kind of threw me a curveball about the reduction. I don't believe that's allowed. You've stated that it's not allowed, but yet saying others are doing it is really strange. So I'm just gonna, if you don't mind, ignore that statement because I don't believe that's allowed. But one statement that was not made is if you have that split severity, multiple severity ratings on one specific parcel, it is deemed to be at the highest level of that severity for the entire parcel. And that can get confusing for folks who are coming into your counter, dealing with your frontline staff, where all of a sudden they may need to be explained, yes, I know you want to build and moderate, but because there's a high severity on your parcel, the entire parcel is being deemed as high severity, those types of things. So what I've seen in the conversation happen in the city of Clear Lake, I had a conversation with Chief Cepeda this morning, is that they are changing the severity for those split parcels to just be one severity to keep the conversation a whole lot easier for those who approach the counter, so that eventually we're not having arguments and fights over something we don't even get to control. And I think that there was a little bit of pushback, at least from one fire district that I'm aware of. I don't know if it was more, at least that's not what I was told by Chief Cepeda. But I think that any parcel that is less than 5 acres, let's make that a single type of severity. That is my proposal to this board. Anything bigger, maybe there's ways to really identify and make a differentiation. I know in my conversation, maybe it was 10, maybe it was 5. It is a random number. It is not a specific reason why I bring that up. But I just think the smaller the parcel, the more difficult it is to really differentiate between high severity zone and a moderate zone within the same parcel itself. So that's one proposal that I'm asking the board to discuss and see if that can be in our final proposal, and that can easily be done on GIS mapping to identify those parcels and highlight them with just one color rather than the multiple gradients that we're seeing currently on the map. My second proposal is, we're not really given a choice. This is a kind of a mandate by the state of just approve it and deal with it. I think we should write a letter to the state letting them know our concerns and our issues with these maps. I could go over the number of issues that I have with these maps, but I think we all kind of understand these maps and know these maps, and if there's possible direction that can be given to come back with a letter of our concerns and our issues with these maps and how we would like to see them be done in the future. I know that the city of Clear Lake has one on their agenda for this week. I know there's been discussions between our CAO and both city managers. Maybe we can have a county-wide letter that is signed by all chairs and mayors. And maybe we can even request through RCRC and CSAC and others for the cities, the Cal cities, to do the same, because their methodology, their science is not wrong, but their methodology is definitely not appropriate in my opinion. So those are my two proposals.
RCRC doesn't have a meeting for like a month or two, so I don't know if that's like an urgent thing.
And it wouldn't change the maps. It would just change the future of how these maps are handled.
All right, so I'm confused. I know you asked for direction or something of the like. Are you able to accommodate that, or what he's asking for?
Certainly. That would be fine. I'll work with GIS. And if Supervisor Spatier is recommending that those parcels 5 acres and lower go up to the higher fire hazard severity designation rather than to the lower one, that's an easy one, and we just work with lawn.
Okay.
And then I'd be happy to work with the administrative office regarding a letter, should that be the desire of the board.
Yes. The only thing with the 5 acres is if there's a partial in there where is it going to make it more difficult for somebody to build? If I have 5 acres and a portion of it is, and we designate the whole area at the higher level, is that going to make it really hard for me? I'm just speaking for people out there.
I'd be happy to confer with my staff. I don't know that exact answer, and I don't want to just guess.
I think that
my understanding is it's all within the WUI. However, I would prefer to get that exact answer for you.
Vice Chair?
Just to go towards that, my understanding is that if you had 3 acres, 5 acres, whatever, if you had a split map, you're still going to be required to follow the same building codes, whether you built on the whatever portion of it, and that that wouldn't change anything necessarily. So that was what I was curious about too, but that's my understanding of what the law is. I don't know if you know more.
Unfortunately, my chief building official is on vacation right now.
Okay, I just didn't want to make it more difficult
But
or
with-
expensive if we don't have to.
With that, I'm okay with a letter. I mean, I think, letting the state know, that we have concerns is fine. And I'm open to looking at those other changes as well. I just do want to make sure that we can get this done on time, because we only have 2 meetings left in June that we're able to do this at, right? Because the last meeting is a budget meeting.
Actually, the meeting happens and then the budget hearings happen the next couple days, so we do have that meeting.
Tuesday, Wednesday.
No, it's all,
Usually it's,
Yeah.
We
okay,
changed it.
sorry.
We only have 2 more regular meetings.
2 more
Okay.
regular meetings.
All right.
Well, my comment is, we've already done this for the SRA, this is the LRA, and, I don't want to have inconsistent ordinances. We had this whole conversation a year ago. CAL FIRE and the state are well aware of all of our comments, and I don't think a letter's not going to do anything. We've already had all this conversation. We had a lot more of it last year, so I'm ready to just move forward as is.
Like as is today?
Well, no, I want to come back and have the public comment, but we have the ordinance for the LRA, SRA last year, and then we're going to make this one different for the SRA. I don't.
All right. Supervisor Sabatier?
And I think it's okay to evolve in our understanding of things, and this impacts more of our community growth boundaries, the LRAs, in comparison to the SRA. Not entirely, but there are many more community growth boundaries impacted by the LRA. I think this also potentially reduces the conflict upstairs when folks approach. And I think the letter, while maybe solely symbolic, our people are not happy with what's happening, and I think part of our job is to speak up for the people that we represent, and so that's why I'm in favor of the letter.
I second that. I'm not going to vote against it. I just, it's not going to do anything. So if,
If it doesn't stall anything, I'm fine.
we just need to keep
It
moving
looks like
forward
we-
and make sure that we are
We,
through this process when we need to be done.
we have a consensus ready to do the letter, so continuance with the letter is what we're looking at, and anything else, Lloyd, that I'm missing?
Yeah, so not sure if your board has taken in public comment at
Yeah,
this point.
I was gonna make
And what's
sure to
before
do-
your board, of course, is really from staff's, it would be staff's request for a continuance. The letter could come from direction from your board via consensus. But as far as this ordinance is concerned, the proposed ordinance, it would be a motion to continue it to a date and time certain.
I'll open it up to the public for anyone that would like to speak. Go ahead, come on up.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors, Chair Crandall. Just 2 things that came to mind. One is, I understand the building codes won't change if you build on a split parcel. You got to follow the codes. But could the insurance change? So that if you were on a medium parcel and you built there, your homeowner's insurance theoretically could be lower than if you built on a parcel that was rated higher. The second thing is, if you change the maps and at a future date, the property owner decides to split his parcel. In some jurisdictions, like I live on a large parcel, I haven't done it, but others have zoned the area where they've built their house at one level for tax purposes, and then the rest is left, rural. And in those situations, if you change it to the higher one, even though the California maps have a split, would it cause a problem down the road? I think those are questions that would be interesting understanding. So I understand where you're headed. I don't really have a problem with that myself, but I think those are fair questions. But what happens, not so much for building codes, but in the case of insurance, and in a future date, if someone decides to split their parcel, say along the fire hazard zone line, would they be able to have that change reflected in the new subdivision? Thank you.
New parcel.
So for land subdivisions, let's assume it's out in the rural lands, rural residential zoning districts, we do determine a minimum parcel size for potential subdivisions based on its distance in air miles to a local fire station, its fire hazard severity zone. So we do take those into account. Moderate versus severe has no relevance in future subdivisions.
But what about the insurance?
I cannot speak to the insurance industry. That's way out of my lane.
They really have their own maps. Which look
Go ahead.
different.
And as far as the map already exists, and the rules on the map is if it's split, it's actually being used as the higher severity that's on the parcel. Whether it's as moderate and high, it's going to be seen as high. That is the rule that is being put into play. That's why when speaking with the fire chief within the district I serve and speaking with the city within the district I serve, both are in favor of these types of maps. So that's why I'm advocating for that. And if we move a different direction, so be it. So just wanted to at least final.
I think we're already going in that direction, it looks like, so.
Yeah. No, I can agree with it. I just had the same concerns about the insurance. So, thank you.
All right, anyone else from the public? Online or on Zoom? All right. I'll bring back to the board for action to continue to a later date, and with the direction from the board, is that what we're looking at here? Or? Date and time certain.
That would be June 10th at 9:30.
June 10th at 9:30. Is that work for you, Johanna? And
I will make sure I have a very clear answer to your question as well. Thank you. My pleasure.
Right. And is there anything else I missed, Lloyd?
So that would be a motion to be seconded by your board, if there is such a motion, to a date and to continue the hearing to the date and time certain.
Mr. Chair, I move to continue this item to June 10th at 9:30,
Second.
time certain.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see what we have here. I think we pulled 5.10, and I know it's going to be looked at to a future date, so I'll bring it right now. Let's see. There we go. I'll read it off. Approve a budget transfer in budget unit 4014 behavioral health of $514,650 from inventory account 7403800 to capital asset account 74063-13 and amend the list of capital assets of the 24-25 budget to increase the South Shore Clinic to $681,250 and authorize the chair of the board to sign. And behavioral health services, but I know that this is going to be pulled to a later date, so. Director Jones.
Yes, I apologize. Distracted. Redwood Community Services, right? This is a long.
5.10?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is a long-standing agreement with Redwood to provide specialty mental health services to youth under the age of 25. It's a multi-year agreement with multiple amendments. And I don't believe that this includes a change to the contract maximum.
This is not the right
Oh,
one.
this is the budget transfer for
budget
4014.
No, we need to pull this. Oh,
Yeah.
hold on.
This one's to be considered for a future date.
Yes, this one is to be considered for a future
Yeah,
date.
well, we could do that. We'll do that one next. But
I was being too excited.
It's okay. So the budget transfer, the 4014, that's just pulled for a later date?
Is incomplete. I apologize.
Okay. So action to pull to a later date, or do we just pull to a later date?
And since the item is called, any public comment for the polling?
We'll open it up to the public for anyone on Zoom. All right, I'll bring it back to the board. If there's no action, we'll pull it to the later date when to be determined.
7.2.
7.2, here we go. Consideration of amendment number 4 to the agreement between County of Lake and Redwood Community Services Incorporated for the Lake County RAP Program, Foster Care Program, and Intensive Services Foster Care Program for specialty mental health services for fiscal years 22, 23, 23, 24, 24, 25 in the amount of $6,200,000. Director Jones.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Long-standing agreement with a contracted provider for services to youth. This is a multi-year agreement and has many iterations to expand and grow the services. I do notably want to say that they've done a great job of expanding their presence in South County, Clear Lake, which is where we have a lot of kids in need. That's all.
All right. If there's no comments from the board, I'll open it up to the public. All right, I'll bring it back to the board for action.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve number 4 to the agreement between the County of Lake and Redwood Community Services, Inc. for the Lake County WRAP program, foster care program, and intensive service foster care ISFC program for specialty mental health services for fiscal year 2022 to 2023, 2023 to 2024, and 2024 to 2025 in the amount of $6,200,000 and authorize the board chair to sign.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
7.3.
That's what I thought. Consideration of amendment number 2 to the agreement between County of Lake and Manzanita House for adult residential support services and specialty mental health services for fiscal years 22-23, 23-24, 24-25 in the amount of $828,000. Director Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, big dollar amount, again, due to the multi-year agreement. We are just trying to close out the year and provide care. This is a boarding care, which is our lowest, or it's an independent living, mostly for people on conservatorship. So this is a good service to fund. It brings people home.
Any comments from the board? If not, I'll open it up to the public. No one on Zoom? That's okay. All right, I'll bring it back to the board for action.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve number 2 to the amendment, or to the agreement between the County of Lake and Manzanita House for adult residential support services and specialty mental health services for fiscal years 2022 to 2023, 2023 to 24, 2024 to 25 in the amount of $828,000 and authorize the board chair to sign.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 7.4. Consideration of amendment number 2 to the agreement between the County of Lake and Clover Valley Guest Home for adult residential support services and specialty mental health services for fiscal year 22-23, 23-24, 24-25. Director Jones.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Similar to the previous agreement, this is a boarding care facility with a multi-year agreement, just looking to close out our services for this fiscal year, and changes are needed.
All right. If there's nothing from the board, I'll open it up to the public. No public input. We'll bring it back to the board for action.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve amendment number 2 to the agreement between the County of Lake and Clover Valley Guest Home for adult residential support services and specialty mental health services for fiscal year 2022 to 23, 23 to 24, 24 to 25 in the amount of $650,000 and authorize the board chair to sign.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Director Jones. Shall we do 7.5 real fast?
No, how about 5.14?
Oh, that's
Probation. See the big smiles out there?
I totally forgot about that one. Sorry. 5.14, approved purchase of 2 vehicles from Downtown Ford through the state contract in the amount of $89,407.32 and authorize the probation chief to issue purchase order. All right. Oh, yes, Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I just pulled this item because I wanted to add a waive of the formal bidding process. They're using a cooperative statewide purchase process, and in order for us to be able to approve this, we have to go through the process of waiving the formal bidding. I did receive a quote from our county council. It's to waive the competitive bidding procedures pursuant to Lake County Code Section 2-38.4.
All right. Did you want to add anything? Or?
Yes. Meredith Neuer, Assistant Chief, Probation Officer until midnight tonight. To add that to the action item, waive the competitive bidding procedures pursuant to Lake County Code Section 2-38.4. And furthermore, add to the executive summary, number 1, permission has been explicitly granted by both the awarding authority and the vendor. 2, a copy of the bid solicitation award and executed contract has been obtained. And 3, unless otherwise approved by the Board of Supervisors, the county's award will be in accordance with all terms and conditions, prices, timeframes, and other criteria established in the bid solicitation issued by the awarding authority.
All right.
Thank you.
Is there anything else? No? All right, so I'll open it up to the public. Anyone on Zoom? I'll bring it back to the board for action.
I move to waive the competitive bidding procedures pursuant to Lake County Code, Section 2-34.8, and approve the purchase of 2 vehicles from Downtown Ford through the state contract in the amount of $89,407.32, and authorize the probation chief to issue purchase order.
I second that.
1 second. Deloitte?
Sure, just
I
to
got this.
clarify, I think it's 2-38.4, the cited code section.
Oh, did I say that wrong? I apologize. Correction.
All right, so I do have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then there's still one more, right?
7.5?
Oh, no, I thought, okay.
Enjoy
One more
your
motion,
last
or-
hours.
Did we need one more motion, or was that
I believe Supervisor Sabate has
covered them both?
submitted both. Right.
Okay, good.
The waiver in one.
All right, well, thank you very much. All right, we're good. Yep. So we'll do 7.5. Yes, all right, so 7.5 is consideration of appointment of members to the following committees: Lake County Resource Conservation District, Middletown Area Town Hall Advisory Board. And we will go through these one by one, well, not one by one, but Conservation District, and then we'll do the math afterwards. So Conservation District, Joseph Sullivan.
And do I just make a motion that we accept him?
Is, that's who, yeah, 1 second, let me open it up to the public. If there's anyone that has a comment about Resource Conservation District applicant Joseph Sullivan, I'll bring it back to the board for action.
Okay, I move that we appoint Joseph Sullivan to the Resource Conservation District for
Second.
District 1.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then we have the Middletown Area Town Hall, Patricia Roy, Daniel Tyrell. And those are alternate positions? Is it for one, right?
Yeah, actually, they have 2 alternates.
perfect.
So
Okay.
Patricia would be the first, and then Terrell would be the second. And, go ahead.
Well, let me open it up to the public briefly. Is there anyone from the public that has any concern about this? All right, I'll bring it back to the board for action. There you go.
Okay, I'd like to move that we appoint Patricia Roy and Daniel Terrell to the math alternate positions. It's a 1-year term. Patricia would be our first alternate, and Terrell will be the second alternate.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion carries. All right, it looks like we can come to a time to break for lunch, and we will be coming back to do 6.11, and that will be a consideration presentation by NCO, North Coast Opportunities Home Hardening Program. So we will see you at 1:05. All right, welcome back from our lunch break. We're going to move back to our timed items, and we will move on to our 6.11, our 1 p.m. Consideration of presentation by North Coast Opportunities, the Home Hardening Program, and this is sponsored by Supervisor Pyska.
All right, we have our update from NCO, and come sit up here. And then we also have with us the executive director of the California Wildfire Mitigation Program too. So we're going to hear from both of them. And I think, yes, my microphone's on.
Oh, there you go.
And I think that Jay Lopez, you've met everyone except our chair. Chair Crandall.
Hello, Jay.
So we have to get you out for a tour. You're the only one that hasn't been.
All right.
Anytime. Well, thank you for having us. I know you guys' days are very busy. My name is Deanna Fernway. I'm the program manager for the Lake County Home Hardening Program with North Coast Opportunities.
It's on, you just have to be close.
I have to pay attention where I'm talking. But just want to thank you guys for your time. I know your Tuesdays are incredibly busy. I was here about a year and a half ago and told you guys I would be back with an update as construction started and we started moving through the program. But before I dive in, I'd like to introduce you to Jay Lopez, one of our developing partners with Kaluuya. So let him take it away for a bit.
Excellent. Pleasure to be here. It's always a wonderful drive to come to Lake County. Never say no when Lake County calls. And so appreciate it and my honor to present to you, give you a quick background on the California Wildfire Mitigation Program. So we can go to the next slide. So one of the things that we learn is that we have to have a plan. So we got to stop hoping and keep working to make a difference. Next. The California Wildfire Mitigation Program was born of the legislature, as the state legislature, as Assembly Bill 38 in 2019 that required CAL FIRE and Cal OES to form a joint powers authority to create a program that will help mitigate homes themselves. We have done projects around the homes, we have done projects in the defensible space, but never the home itself. So this program, this authority was created in 2021. The board was formed in 2022, and the first grant, which was Lake County, in 2023. So in a matter of time, we're doing quite a bit in very little time. Next. Appears to be a lot of time, but we're doing quite a bit of work in FEMA time to start in 2023 to have the first grant awarded and to have homes being done by 2024 is a great accomplishment. And that is all due to the fact that North Coast Opportunities hard work. So as I was saying, it's just a wildfire structure retrofits. Touching somebody's home is a little different than just trimming up the plants around the house. So we're working out really hard and finding all the trials and tribulations how to do this. Next slide. And the nice thing about this program is that we're developing a model that can be used statewide. So we have a report to present to the state assembly in 2028, but we plan to do it before that. And once we have a model, it's something that everybody can use. So you go to John and Betty right now, they're 75 years old, and you ask them to wildfire retrofit their homes, they're gonna say what and where do I start? Or John and Betty, they are 25 years old and they just got married, bought their first home. You ask the same question, you get the same answer. So our job is to demystify that and makes it more easy to understand and implement. It's locally led, and this is a great example. NCO is a great local community group that can handle this very nicely. What we like about our program, opens it up not only for cities and county, but also for groups like NCO. We receive money from the state, and we provide the match for a FEMA grant. So that's something that alleviates the county, alleviates the cities, alleviates the groups, and it makes it very democratic. So pretty much anybody that's engaged, willing to learn, can do this program. And then it's a neighborhood and community-wide. So it's not a house here and there, it's many homes right next to each other as we can. Next. And one thing, those are the areas that we work in throughout the state. Next. And one very important thing, this is not an isolated effort. It's very important for us to know that whatever we do is also works for somebody else. So we're working with the National Institute of Standards and Technology, with the data that they have, with the Safer from Wildfires, Department of Insurance. So all the mitigations that we do also can be used for somebody to obtain the benefits of the Safer from Wildfire program. Also for the wildfire repair home, we're lining up our program with them. So you want to have a wildfire repair home. I do on my own house, and it works out great because my insurance was kind of hinting that they were going to drop me. My house is against the forest. And once I had the wildfire repair home, the discussion of being dropped stopped. So that's something that we line up with them. Also with the California Department of Housing, headwater economics for the studies of what it takes to do and how much money it takes, and see if we can drive the cost lower. Firewise USA, our goal is to, in the case of Kelseyville Riviera, is already Firewise, but how to maintain it, all this work can count into maintaining the Firewise designation in that area. And also we're starting to work with the Governor Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation to line up our programs with them. They have quite a bit of programs that can benefit our residents with that. Next. And then the methodology, it just shows how we work. We do an assessment first to make sure that things are done to the hazard that is present to the house. So in one side of the house might be embers that you have, and the other side might be embers and flame. So you got to mitigate for both. Next. And we use the state treatments that we have, Zone 0, 1, and 2. Next. And this is some more retrofix that we do. We take it to the next level. In this case, is the side wall. The state only calls for 6 inches. Indiana is implementing up to 2 feet of hardening on that outer wall, and also the material that is attached to it. It's important to modify it and make it less combustible. Next. We develop a minimal quality standards. That's a very important part. The minimal quality standards is something that we can hand to a contractor, and they know what code goes with it. The MQS that we call, we develop with several groups that are experts on the matter, starting from the State Fire Marshal and the people conducting the testing, but also we had 4 PhDs that have done quite a bit of studies in the United States on this. And this provides a very clear understanding for Diana to provide to the property owner and the contractor on what's going to happen in their home. So having that minimal quality standards is our benchmark. Next. And everything else, it seems like it's been a long time, but it's been a lot of work done. So everything is seems impossible, but we're doing something that never been done before. We're building a program from the ground up. But we're thinking that it's very solid, the step that was taken, and the ladder that we have created so far can be good for many, many communities, starting with Lake County. Thank you.
Alrighty. Well, before I dive in, next slide. Yeah.
She's pulling it back up. There you go.
All right, next slide. So before I dive into what we're doing on a local level, I just really wanted to shine a spotlight on all of our developing partners, and I just really appreciate you being here today. No program is successful on its own, and we just really appreciate all of the efforts for developing this program and bringing this program to Lake County. I feel lucky every day that I get to work with partners who increase the safety of Lake County, and not just Lake County, but communities throughout the state. So thank you again, everyone. So speaking of partners, Supervisor Paiska came to NCO about 4 years ago with this grant opportunity that she knew would benefit Lake County. She knew it would increase the safety of her residents here. And like Jay said, is a grant that has never been done before. We're truly building the ship as we sail it. And so As we know, Lake County is one of the most vulnerable regions in the state, and in the last decade, more than 60% of our community has been impacted by our devastating wildfires. The threat is real, it's ongoing, and we no longer have a wildfire season. As we know, these wildfires happen year-round. So proactive, community-driven action really truly begins with home hardening. More than 90% of homes lost in wildfires are due to ember intrusion, not direct flame. And so with home hardening, we really focus on ember intrusion. I think most of us here know that our hot embers travel up to 3 miles. In fact, we were just talking about that earlier. And so this home hardening program really reduces the risks by focusing on ember intrusion. Next slide. So when homes are hardened collectively, they slow the spread of fire. So when we first got this grant, we did a field trip with our partners, and we toured 11 different communities throughout the county. And ultimately, the Kelseyville Riviera was chosen. To implement this cluster strategy, we really needed a neighborhood that had tight population density. Some of the other reasons why the Kelseyville Riviera was chosen was due to not just the vegetation in the community, but that surrounds that community. This community also has vulnerable exits in and out. I think anyone who's driven through this community really understands that. In fact, we were just talking about a tree that we plan on taking down. It's in dying condition, and if it were to fall over the road, there are several residents that wouldn't even be able to get out at all. This area also has not burned in the last decade with the other 60% of our community, and then every afternoon those high winds kick up off the lake. So we considered one of the most vulnerable areas in the community, so we chose this to be our pilot site. Next slide. So we've been in construction for a year, and these green icons signify the homes that we have already finished hardening. And so you can see we have 2 little clusters that are already starting to form, and that resiliency is really starting to grow. Next slide. These pegs signify the homes that are currently in development, whether they're in construction, in the assessment phase, or they're starting to go out to bid. So you can see here now this cluster is continuing to grow. Next slide. These are the homeowners who are interested in being a participant of our program. So every time a homeowner calls us, we put them on an interested parties list. We add them to this map, and this is how we select our next homeowners. In fact, we get that question a lot. So we look at this map and we decide homes that will continue to grow and intensify that cluster resiliency strategy. And next. So in this last slide, it shows all of our homes that we have, and you can just really visualize this cluster resiliency strategy that's already being created and the impact, the bigger impact that it has in potential. And so this map currently has around 300 homes, so you can really see what impact this could make whenever we finish hardening 500 homes. Next slide. So the difference in community resiliency with that map is very substantial. So with our first year, we really considered it a big learning curve. We hardened 24 homes, and every home is different with different vulnerabilities. And so every home has been a learning curve. So we anticipate now that we have a lot of those kinks ironed out and processes set in place, we are moving at a faster capacity, and we plan on hardening at least 50 homes within this next year. We currently have 6 in active construction, and as you saw on the map, we have 10 in development. So what does our program offer? So if you live throughout the county and even beyond, we've helped a lot of different communities develop their own program. You all are welcome to give us a call as you go through your home hardening journey. We are happy to answer any questions, hand out resources, or even talk about different measures that you can do on your own home or different resources and applications. If you live in the KRCA area, we offer free detailed home assessments, and these are incredibly individualized to your home. They take roughly about 2 hours to conduct, and they give us this really beautiful report of all of the different vulnerabilities that your specific house has. So if anyone lives in the KRCA area and they want that to take place, just give us a call and we'll make sure to put you on that list. And then, of course, this program offers the funding for the home hardening activities, especially for our vulnerable households, as most of the work that we conduct is done for free. So let's take a look at all the key home hardening activities this program offers, but also some of the education that we give our homeowners and we encourage every homeowner here in Lake County to conduct. With our economic climate as it is these days, we understand that every dollar has to stretch even further. But ironically, a lot of the low budget or even free activities that you can be doing happens to combat zone 0 or the most vulnerable parts of your home. We're always going to encourage people to work on their zone 0 defensible space. Ultimately, CAL FIRE would love to see that 100 foot of clearance, but we understand that lot sizes are small and we can't always do that. But the most vulnerable part of your home is that first 5 feet circumference around your home. So if you have any branches that are near your roof or bushes up against the side of your house, in fact, that's what I've been working on the last couple weekends, is transplanting my rose bushes further away from my house and installing landscaping in that zone 0, or the hardscaping in zone 0. We also recommend if you are on a budget and you can only do one thing, it would be your vents. So a lot of our homes were built in a time period where we had 1/4-inch vents or even dryer vents that are plastic and no longer have the flapper. What's inside your dryer vent? Lint. And so if you think about all of those embers, they're going to find all those little nooks and crannies of your home. And so most of these activities really combat the embers that could cause your home to ignite. So if you have the ability to swap out your vents on your own, they're a very economical option. We encourage non-combustible vents that are 1/8 inch. Again, thinking about those little dryer vents and all those little nooks and crannies that the embers could intrude. We always still encourage folks to swap out their window screens. We live in a beautiful area where we have hotter days and cooler nights, so we're leaving our windows open. And so if embers were to blow up against those vinyl window screens, they would melt and create an opening straight into your home. Another item we encourage is the green reflective address plaques. Every home that we touch gets one. If you had a house fire or your baby was choking, those minutes really count, and you want to make sure that your first responders can find you. Some of the mid-budget items are enclosing your decks. A lot of folks have leaves and debris under your deck, so if you're not able to enclose them, it's best to at least clean them out and make sure that those embers can't combust from underneath. If you can enclose your deck, it just wraps your house and protects it that much more. Attachments such as handrails, fencing, and gates should also be non-combustible. Gutters and gutter covers are also really important. What's right next to your gutters? Your roof. And as we all know, our roofs are incredibly vulnerable. So if we can keep those clean of debris and add gutter covers, it's that much more safe. Garage gasketing is one of the items I would have never thought about before we started this program. I've got gas cans and paint and combustibles inside my garage, and I also live in Cobb Mountain where we have frequent earthquakes, so my garage door doesn't shut all the way, so I have these nice little gaps on the side. So That's a project I plan on tackling. If embers were to blow inside my garage, there's things in there that could combust. So something to think about. I'd love for you guys all to go home and just take a peek at your garage door and see what kind of vulnerability it has. Some of the higher budget items includes non-combustible siding, enclosing of your eaves, those non-combustible framed, double pane, double tempered windows, and then obviously the roof replacement if you have that ability. So before we start to end this presentation, I just really wanted to share some of the really great resources that are out there. We get asked a lot of questions about just different information that people are seeing online, and we want to make sure to send people to the CAL FIRE website. They have the most updated information if there's any kind of confusion. This page is one of our particular favorite pages. If you click on any of the red icons, go ahead, next slide. The red icons indicate different vulnerabilities in homes, and if you click on them, these pictures pop up, so it's really fun and interactive. You can kind of see this before and after of what's safer. Next slide. And if you're not as techie, this website is great. This home retrofit guide can be printed out. You can walk around your home with this guide and spot what vulnerabilities you have in your home. And the readyforwildfire.org, Jay brushed up on it a little bit. Hot button topic is our homeowner's insurance. And this is a really great resource to see what kinds of activities you can be doing on your home to not only reduce your homeowner's insurance, but keep it as well. So feel free to check that website out. Always has really great information. Next slide. We have a local website we just revamped, ncohomehardening.org. We talk about different materials to be used on your home. We just talk about home hardening in general, and we give updates about our local program. We also have a monthly newsletter. If you don't want it going to your inbox, you can check that out on our website as well. Next slide. So this is our contact information. We're always available. We have a team of 7, and everyone is really seasoned. They've worked very closely with CAL FIRE and OES to understand the home hardening efforts. So please give us a call. But before I end this presentation, I really just want to leave everybody with one thing to keep in mind, that wildfires are a solvable crisis. With the right strategies and proactive policy and community engagement, we can reduce their frequency and their impact, and home hardening is really just the start of that. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Anything else to add, sir? Did you have anything else to finally add?
So the beautiful part of this is that, look, we started working about 2 years ago, and you see all the knowledge that she has. And now that is embedded in your community. One of the greatest part about this program that called me out of retirement was to empower your local groups to be self-sufficient and do this. And I feel like a proud dad right here just watching my kid play the piano, wonderfully. All the knowledge that Deanna has and she's conveying to her team belongs to you now. So that's a great part of this in here. And thank you, Supervisor Paiska, for having the foresight and jumping right away to the opportunity to be part of this program.
Supervisor Paiska?
Yeah, I was also going to mention that now we have, you are the leading experts. Jay, you've been an expert in this field for a long time, and now you've built this here in our county, and Deanna at the helm. Like, you are a subject matter expert. Your team understands everything. You are working with manufacturers on the development of new products that's going to help with all of these home hardening initiatives, make them easier for people, make them more accessible. But the other piece is the Zone Zero piece, which, you know, Jay's, you've been working on this for a long time at the state level, but now we have contractors who are also experts in this. So if anyone is interested, it is one of the easiest ways to protect your home, your lives, and your community is to make sure you've got that Zone Zero space around your home. And we have the best resources ever here, working in our community. And we just celebrated our first anniversary this month, right? It was last June that we finished the first home, and we had a big celebration, and here we are 1 year later. So I'm just so happy at everything that's happened to get us to this point, and then the next few years where we're going to be rolling this out even more.
All right. Supervisor Sabatier?
Yeah, I want to thank the home hardening team and Supervisor Pyska. CSAC came through to do a tour of Lake County, and you were one of the highlights. And I think they walked away really intrigued by the program, and I'm sure Supervisor Pyska has elaborated within her committee as well about all the work that she's done. So I appreciate the time spent and appreciate learning a little bit more about what you do. I do have two questions. One is, what is the average cost per house for the rehabilitation to get it home hardened? And then my second one is a very long-term question, and Supervisor Pyska kind of alluded to it. This is a pilot program. With the unfortunate status that both the state, especially after the Palisade and Eaton fires, and the federal government sit, is there a chance of being able to continue it once this gets drawn down for all the work that was anticipated with the first grant? So those are my questions.
Yeah, no, those are good questions. So currently we're averaging about $55,000 per home, and that includes the defensible space activities. As I mentioned, every home is a little bit different. So we have some homes that are a little bit cheaper, of homeowners who have been really proactive, and then we have other homeowners who don't have the physical or financial capability of doing much on their property. So that's about what we're averaging currently. I can't give a whole lot of detail, but we did just recently apply for another home hardening grant, and I'll let Jay kind of elaborate on the funding, but we definitely see more funding coming down the pipeline.
Yes, great question. So let me address the state first. We are pilot till 2029. However, it's a new bill, AB 441, that is will try to make us permanent, or at least extend us even more time to be part of this. And that bills, all of the bills that we have last year was AB 2469, gives also the directive to the state to provide funding, legislative funding to our program to bring it to this level. In the federal world, right now things are changing quite a bit. However, the hazard mitigation grant program is not being discussed right now as a possibility, but things are changing daily. So right now we're just marching along to what we have and planning in the future. So the application of a notice of intent for the next monies to do more work in Lake County has been submitted by NCO. And our goal is that by the time this money's finished, that we have right now, then you have the next part of the program coming. But so right now, statewide, we have till 2029 for this program. The way this bill, created as was written, is that every 5 years needs to have confirmed for us to keep it going. So unfortunately, every 5 years we need to go from the assembly to or the legislature to be renewed, and that's how it's designed.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So there's about 5 million homes in California that are in the high fire threat area. About 90% of them were built prior to 2008. So the state's target and Jay's work is how do we get those homes addressed across the state? So that's what we're piloting here, hoping to expand the pilot project eventually, and really look at all those homes across the state.
Supervisor Owen?
Okay, I had a couple of questions. So you said that the average home, the retrofit for that is approximately $55,000 per home.
Correct.
And is that 100% covered by this grant?
Yes, so for households that have a lower income, all the work conducted is done for free. And then for the higher income households, they can have either a 10 or 25% share of cost.
Okay, so it's on a sliding scale, but a good most of it is usually covered.
Correct.
On all
Yep.
of them. Okay.
Yep.
And then how much was this last grant, the pilot grant?
So this last one was 22 million.
22 million? And then are you doing all of the homes in that one particular area, or is that available to other people in other areas throughout the county?
So currently, while we build this cluster resiliency strategy, we're focusing in on 500 homes within close proximity of each other. So anyone who wants to participate needs to be in the Kelseyville Riviera Association.
Okay, but
area.
so it's not available to, say, Anderson Springs?
Correct, yeah, not at this moment.
Okay. Let me see. And then, so you had mentioned that if somebody wants to start a home hardening project, say for instance Anderson Springs, they would have to pay for the cost themselves to have their homes done in another area other than this area.
Do you mean the homeowner themselves?
Yes.
If they wanted to harden their own home?
Yes.
Yes, so at this time, they would have to cover that activity on themselves, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Supervisor Sabatier?
I do want to follow up with that, and I really appreciate that there's hope. I wasn't sure how much hope is left with the financial status of both the state and the feds, so I really appreciate those comments, because $55,000 is a lot of money per house, and I'm glad that we're able to utilize that to uplift some of the homes here. I don't want to speak out of line, but if you're going to do this work, please correct me. Check with your insurance, because there are insurance companies that do provide some reimbursements to a certain degree, but you have to front the cash up front in order to do the work if you're in Anderson Springs, and you may be able to get some reimbursement. So it's definitely not 100% guaranteed. Check in with your own insurance, but I know that there are plans out there for those that are not within grant opportunities, such as the home hardening program that is being run currently. And so there's multiple ways to do it, but I am concerned about the overall cost, because not everybody's able to front load that amount. And so again, glad to hear that there is hope for a 2.0 version of this to keep expanding it further and further.
Yeah,
Supervisor Owen.
100%.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just real quick, just for your question first, the area is selected because we have to work with FEMA, the great amount of the money that we have from FEMA. So an area has to be studied from all the biological parts. So that's the first part to get gets done once an area gets started. So when you see the area Kelseyville, plus a buffer of we went up to 3 miles to look for endangered species and all that. So in order to get FEMA money, we have to select an area and then work in there. Our goal is to move it away from that area as we have more money and start expanding on the other areas as we can. At the end of our program, we'll provide the property owner a report of what it was done at their house. So the Safer from Wildfire program that is managed by the California Department of Department of Insurance, as they ask the insurance companies to provide a discount for what they have done in the home. And Deanna is going to provide this very detailed list for them, and the property owner will go to the insurance company asking them, this is what is done in my house. We know that Safer from Wildfire exists. What is this discount that you're giving for vents or whatever it was done? And that's a great link right there. And also, if they want to go for the wildfire per home designation, we're going to help them to get there. It'll be the property owner decision to be there. But also, they will have that, and that'll give them the ability not only to maintain insurance, but hopefully one of these days shop around as well.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you. And that's a huge benefit to those people that could have some relief from the insurance companies. That's amazing. That's phenomenal. And I'm so glad that you guys are out there doing this work. So it sounds like this grant here, the 22 million, will probably be spent in that zone area, and you've probably got plenty of homes to take care of that. So when you get another grant, would you be looking for another area to be retrofitting then at that, or home hardening?
Yeah, I know for myself and Jay and a number of our partners, we are always on the hunt for different grants, and they could be home hardening. I know we've been talking about expanding to do vehicle abatement, lot mitigation. There's a ton of fuels projects that are going on out there right now. So we are always, like I said, on the hunt to looking for other various grants. As far as the home hardening grant, like Jay mentioned, we do have to do that EHP review prior to award, and that can take up to a year or even beyond. And so that was a really good opportunity for us locally to do our program development while we waited for that EHP review. But it's always something to keep in mind as we start applying for other home hardening grants, is that is really truly the first step.
Right, and that's what I was getting at, actually, was what we could do to get other areas into the pipeline is what I'm asking for the next grant.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. No, I was just going to say, yes, absolutely. Our goal really is to continue to expand in other areas throughout Lake County. I know the city of Clear Lake and the city of Lakeport are very interested in having a home hardening program within their city limits. But yes, this really ultimately, our goal was to create a cookie cutter program that we could expand to other various communities.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And right now from the state, we have Prop 4, the climate bond that it was passed in November last year. There are $135 million assigned for home hardening. It's not as specific to our program, but we're working real hard to try to get all of those. That will help us expand the program within the county here, but also to other counties during the state. So we're hoping that those monies, or at least partial money, will come to us and we keep moving forward with that.
Thank you.
Supervisor Pyska.
Yeah. So just for transparency, there are some homes that can't be done in the pilot area, and that's because there can't be any outstanding code violations. So if someone built a deck without a permit, they can't be part of the program. But you do the Zone 0 work and figure out how to do some things that are allowable. But those are the constraints with FEMA. And then again, it's homes that, well, and the historical homes too. If they're too old, that's been a difficulty in the pilot program as well. That's one of the reasons the Rivieras was selected. Is they're all mostly the same age, and they're very similar homes, and so it was really a way to have a successful pilot. Homes that are built after 2008 don't need this. So like in Anderson Springs, those are mostly all new homes. And so that would be, if you wanted to do some work there, it would be mostly focusing on.
That was just an
defensible
example,
space.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's targeting those homes prior to 2008 that are fully compliant with all codes. It's really important. But there's also a lot of legislation that's happening right now, both at the state and the federal level. So Congressman Thompson's working on a bill that if you do home hardening, you'll get tax, there's a lot going on there, but there's a lot of different ways that we're looking at being able to implement this in other communities, not necessarily with this exact program, but the goal of everyone across the board is to harden communities and harden homes. The insurance crisis is nationwide, except in Alabama. Because Alabama used FEMA money to harden their homes against hurricanes. It was only a $10,000 investment for each of those homes, but there's no insurance crisis in Alabama anymore because they've taken away the risk by hardening the homes. So that's why so many people, agencies and legislatures and everybody's working on trying to figure out how we lower this risk community-wide. So there are going to be a lot of options in the near future, not just this pilot program, but this pilot program is designing the path forward for rolling out throughout a community.
All right, I'm going to open it up to the public and see if there's anyone that would like to speak on this item. Anyone on Zoom? I'll bring it back to the board for further discussion in case there is. Any final thoughts?
Well, I just want to thank you both for coming. I know we intended to do this last month for Wildfire Preparedness Day, but this is at our 1-year anniversary of our first home, so I think this is just as fitting. And I know, Jay, you traveled quite a distance, again, as usual, to be here, and we always love having you. So thank you so much to both of you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, next on our agenda is 6.12, a presentation of Food Policy Council activities and strategic plan. B, consideration of Food Policy Council bylaws. C, consideration of Food Policy Council MOU with the Lake County Community Foundations. And D, reopen application process to fill Food Policy Council members. Supervisor Sabatier, you sponsor this, so want to introduce?
Thank you very much, Chair. We have Rebecca Harper from the Farm Bureau coming up, as well as Greg Damron from Blue Zones. As you'll remember, Blue Zones has been the leading agency for this committee. This committee has been hard at work for... Too long. I'll leave it at that, too long. But we are very excited to present to you what has been accomplished so far in hopes to really start gaining steam and taking action in the upcoming months and years. And Rebecca Harper will be presenting our status and our action so far.
There we go. Perfect.
And that should be the latest version.
Yes, great. Yeah, I noticed there were some formatting issues with the earlier version. So anyways, we have, just as some background, like Bruno said, been working at this Food Policy Council development for quite a while, which stemmed from, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Bruno's participation in the California Women for Agriculture Ag Venture program. He left with some questions about how we could build a more food resilient community from both the consumer and producer standpoint. So we started tossing around some ideas and recruiting some of the folks who had been involved in similar efforts in the past and other folks who might be knowledgeable in the area. And so as part of that, Greg kind of got looped in similarly to the way that I was, and we started working on this. So it's been a while. We've been mostly tossing around ideas up until this point, but now we're really at a crossroads of developing a clear purpose, vision, getting our bylaws set in stone, and then having a strategic plan to make sure that this effort is sustained into the future and doesn't fizzle out like previous iterations have. So with that, you should have the bylaws as well as MOUs and other documents attached to the agenda. I'm not going to read them to you, but I will just cover some highlights. So purpose and vision. The purpose of the Food Policy Council is to advance sustainable solutions for Lake County's local food and farm economies so that growers and eaters can thrive. And so, when we talk about food, usually we talk about it from a consumption standpoint. And so as the Food Policy Council, we've really tried to emphasize the importance of producing local food and making sure that we have sustainable market channels for our producers to sell their products through, and that also, locals can benefit from the food production that does occur in Lake County. So the vision for the Food Policy Council would be that Lake County has a resilient and abundant food system where nutritious, locally produced food is accessible to everyone, fostering self-reliance for our community. So as was mentioned in the presentation that just concluded, Lake County is a pretty isolated community. And so not only does that put our citizens at risk, during times of emergency like wildfire, but it also, there's a food component to that. And so we want to make sure that our citizens have as best of a chance as we can provide to be sustainable if an emergency does cut off access to outside resources. And so that's definitely a big component of that. The other part of that is Lake County is what I would call a resource abundant community. So in terms of monetary resources, of course we have some low income affected areas, but we have a lot of land. And so we can capitalize on that by, working on some initiatives and other things that will make it easier for people to grow food in Lake County and to get their products to markets and be successful. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. Yeah, So here's just some of the values of the Food Policy Council, kind of buzzwords that were thrown around throughout the development of our strategic plan. So the Lake County Food Policy Council will be essential for addressing food insecurity, supporting local agriculture, improving public health, fostering collaboration, and building resilience. Its establishment represents a proactive step towards a healthier, more connected, and sustainable food system in Lake County. So instead of working on all of these issues individually in silos, addressing food security on its own, addressing public health on its own, and supporting local agriculture on its own, we kind of tried to take a holistic view here and look at how they're all look at how all of these different kind of pieces of the puzzle are connected and how we can work on them simultaneously to bring the most benefit to each area. So some of those key values include resilience, knowledge, trustworthiness, fairness, partnership, connection amongst our industries, innovation, and relevance. So again, we have lots of opportunity in Lake County, and so we'd like to see how that opportunity can work for us. Great. So as I previously stated, Lake County is an agricultural county that has experienced some decline in agricultural productivity and related industries, particularly around food production. So the Lake County Food Policy Council aims to turn this trajectory around with an innovative and comprehensive plan for our food systems. Focusing on climate resiliency, disaster preparedness, economic development, cultural and health priorities. So like I said, lots of different aspects at play here. So this little timeline here kind of highlights some of our goals as outlined in the strategic plan. So those goals being to strengthen local food infrastructure, to build food systems workforces, enact supportive zoning and policy. And so these are three of the goals, at least to me, that kind of stand out as part of our strategic plan. So here's a little bit of a timeline. As you'll see, it doesn't have specific dates and times, but kind of step by step how that would look for us. So build necessary equipment and infrastructure for local food production, processing, distribution, and food waste recovery. One of Bruno and I's initial conversations was around what we could do to promote more local food production. And my background is in animal science. So I told Bruno, if you want more people to raise beef cattle or goats or, whatever meat production there is, there has to be a way for it to process it. And quite frankly, we have lots of wonderful local, smaller scaled USDA licensed facility, but there really isn't anywhere that you could have meat processed on a larger scale. And if you're going to get into ag, you have to be able to have those economies to scale. And so to me, that's a really big part of it, is developing local food production and processing facilities. So that's kind of step one. But with that, you have to also grow market channels, right? If we can grow that food and we can get it processed, but there's nowhere to sell it, that's not going to work out. And then we'd also like to provide support to growers and food and farm workers, expand school-based food production. That's an interesting one. School-based food production is an area that we do have some growers in Lake County connected in, but there's certainly more opportunity to utilize schools as an area, and also hospitals, Angela's here, as market channels for some of our agricultural products. And then also expanding food systems education opportunities. So this idea, I don't know if you've heard, there's lots of statistics, but only 1 to 2% of the United States population is involved in food production, and that's a number that's changed drastically within just a couple of generations. And so really looking at how do we close that gap, how do we inform not only our youth but some of our older populations kind of the power of food and supporting your local ag economy. And then finally, strengthen partnerships and networks. So the idea that we're stronger when we work together, right? I think everybody is connected to food, and if you eat and wear clothes, you're connected to ag. So making sure we have good networks and partnerships in place. I think since the formation of the council, we've already done a really good job at getting connected. So only up from here. And then also strengthening food access infrastructure and policy. So that's an area that actually I've learned quite a bit more about through the Food Policy Council's life so far, and that we actually have quite good infrastructure for food access in Lake County. And so working with the Gleaners and other community organizations that work specifically in that area, there's opportunities for continued partnership into the future. And then also really important is food policy. I think also going back to some of the initial conversations that we had was like, okay, we want to support farmers and ranchers in Lake County, and we think we're an ag-friendly community, but does our policy reflect that? And so really kind of digging deeper and having some tough conversations at times about what being an ag-friendly county looks like, and, not just talking the talk, but walking the walk in terms of ag-friendly policy. Next slide. So again, more of those goals, use zoning and planning tools to facilitate local food system development. This really ties into that policy component of being ag-friendly in Lake County. Foster strategic collaboration to achieve strategic plan goals and actions. So we've built a system of partners and have a good network. Now, how do we put it to work? And then ensuring adequate long-term support for Food Policy Council. So if you've been involved in county leadership, you probably know there's been multiple iterations of similar projects, and we don't want to be just another iteration. We'd like to be a longer-term, more sustained effort. So also conducting evaluations and measurements to track progress. If we can't measure our success, then we've got some issues. So we want to make sure that we're set up to do that throughout the progress that we've made. And then keeping the community and decision makers aware and informed. I think I see this a lot. There's so much good work that goes on in Lake County, but if it's not communicated, a lot of our citizens don't have any idea of all of that good work that's happening. And so we want to make sure that we're sharing the work that's been made so far, and the work that we're going to continue doing in the future. Great. So strategic plan implementation. To ensure effective and timely execution of the strategic plan, we will confirm a fiscal agent for 2025 grants and contracts, which is kind of outlined in the documents you have attached to the agenda. Identify long-term backbone organization for the Lake County Food Policy Committee, and then establish an MOU with Blue Zones Project as the lead support for the group for now, and then appoint Blue Zone staff to Lake County Food Policy Council membership and support role. So these are all of those items that are going to get us set up to carry out our mission in the future. Bylaws, pretty similar to other committees. The council will have members that include representatives from various organizations and interests across Lake County. There will be co-chairs appointed by the council members, and an executive committee that includes co-chairs, designated staff, and standing committee reps to guide council activities. So the makeup of the council, as currently written in the bylaws, which there's been some discussion regarding potentially changing this in the future to make sure that we're able to meet quorum and continue the group, which has been an issue in other committees. But the committee will be made up of 11 total members, which will include a chair, a vice chair, and secretary, which will be appointed each January. And then the chair facilitates the meetings, the vice chair fills in as needed, and a secretary that records meeting notes. So pretty standard, nothing really outside of what you've seen with other committees. This goes over some of the nitty-gritty of the bylaws. Again, very similar to other committees. I won't go into this too much unless you have any questions. But yeah, this is all outlined in the bylaws. So, Memorandum of Understanding with Blue Zones Project. We've been very fortunate to have Greg and Blue Zones Project support from really the beginning of our conversations. And as you all know, Blue Zones Project has been such an asset to Lake County, and it's been no different as part of the Food Policy Committee. So the Lake County Food Policy Council will develop an MOU with Blue Zones Project that will formalize Blue Zones Project role as the lead support agency, and will allow Blue Zones to continue with staff coordination and support, strategic guidance, and operational assistance. And then once the MOU is executed, this role would be recognized in an official agreement. I kind of sped through everything. I hope it was thorough enough. Greg is here to provide some more details kind of regarding the bylaws and the strategic plan, which Blue Zones was kind of the primary on. So yeah, if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them to the best of my ability.
Do you want to add anything else?
Yeah, I want to say thank you so much for letting us come here. To answer the earlier question, we started in September of 2023, and previous iterations of these efforts follow the typical lifespan of nonprofit fiscal sponsorship. You'll get a grant that allows for the development of the council. That grant sunsets, and then there's turnover. We try to do something different this time, and that was to establish this and link it to a committee connected to this body. And also, Blue Zones Project it's not a nonprofit. We're a company, and through the generosity of Adventist Health, we're able to provide probably over $100,000 of technical assistance and in-kind dollars to do this process. Our council, of which we have a number of representatives here today, Tammy Alexei, I don't know if I can pronounce your name always correctly, Angela Frazier from Adventist Health, and then we have Catherine Vanderval, Commissioner, and we have a number of other member or organizations represented. The idea with this was to create an organic process, let the team, most of whom have worked together for many years and know each other, come into an action-oriented and problem-solving initiative, and then develop structure. We Blue Zones invested in a pretty substantial development plan. Great timing, right? Because if you look at the federal line items of many of those grant sources, we don't know what the outcome of those are. But anyways, we're working through that, and it just reemphasizes the importance of sustainability and planning and working together in a changing environment. So that's the gist. So Bruno, or questions?
Yes,
yeah.
Did you have something else? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would just add one of the questions that I've received from members of the ag community, but also members of the public, is how is this different than the Ag Advisory Committee? And so I think that's an important thing to discuss. Ag Advisory Committee usually is used in response to issues. And as Greg had mentioned, we really want this to be a proactive effort to look at some of the longer term questions and use funding opportunities to our benefit, and really focus on food and local production in Lake County. So just wanted to mention that is a question that we have received, and I think there's some very obvious reasons why it's a different effort.
Thank you for clarifying that. Supervisor Sabatier and then Supervisor Owen.
So I'm sorry it took so long to get to this point, but we've had some great discussions, made some great relationships with a lot of different agencies that are very interested in making this happen. The food policy, out of that in the past, the NCO, Mendel Lake Food Hub has come out of that. A while ago, the co-op, the food co-op came out of this, and other iterations created long-term projects and solutions that have assisted and made impact on Lake County, and we hope to do the same. Our strategic plan, in my personal opinion, is very much shooting for the moon, but if we can get anywhere close to what we're looking to get and achieve, we will be in a better position. To me, food was the important choice to focus on. There is so much that relates back to food and why we need to increase our food production. This does not touch vineyards, this does not touch cannabis, this does not touch other types of agriculture that is not food specific related. And we are seeing a decrease and also an aging population in those that are involved in food production, not just here in Lake County, but throughout the country as well. And the more we can position ourselves to be more resilient and self-sustainable, the better off we will be in the future. And so I think this is exciting. I'm really glad that my very first conversation, Rebecca completely swerved me into the left direction that I was not heading in the original place. I said, I want more farmers. And she said, well, how about more markets? And that's when Blue Zones fit the bill. Blue Zones is pledging with other businesses and agencies such as Adventist Health, Canocta Unified School District, Foods, etc., to focus on health and food, and we are making those connections right now. Adventist Health is currently seeking food to provide to their employees, and if our farmers were available to provide that food today, they would be buying it directly from them. We've made some of those same connections between the gleaners and the farmers that sit at the table as well. So I think one of the most important pieces, of course, today we hope that we can get the approval of the bylaws, but is the MOU with Lake County Community Foundations. I thought we needed to butter up Lake County Community Foundations in order to get them to say yes to become a fiscal agent for us. Greg and I met with them. We buttered them up for 30 minutes and we asked, and it took 10-second conversation. They said, that's why we're here. We're here to be fiscal agents for the needs of Lake County. And so the way that the relationship would work is they are not getting paid by the county. They are not getting paid by the Food Policy Council. They are going to work with us on which grants to go after in order to achieve the goals of our strategic plan, work together on how to provide that grant funding to contractors or farmers or others in the community to be able to achieve our goals, and just basically working as partners. And I think Lake County Community Foundations offers an opportunity for us to do the work without asking staff, who is always strapped within their own capacities, to do more. And so to us, that was a win-win situation and builds a new relationship as well for sustainability for this program. So I think that, thank you so much for doing the presentation. You did amazing. Thank you both. Thank you all the team that's out there. Really appreciate it. And those that aren't here as well, really appreciate them being at the table.
Supervisor Owen?
Oh, I did just want to add to Bruno's point, you know, I think this is a very, very timely effort. In the last couple of years, we've seen neighboring counties, Sonoma County fighting Measure J, Solano County dealing with the California Forever Project. And although it wasn't intentional, you know, I think that there's a culture that we want to establish in Lake County, and that certainly, that this effort certainly takes a step in the right direction. Something else that I also wanted to speak to, like Bruno said, there have been many previous iterations, and that's something that our committee has discussed. Like, you know, are we wasting our time here? Is this going to fizzle out? And my response to that has been, well, you know, maybe in the past we never quite had the right people at the table. And so it certainly feels like we do this time.
Okay. I want to say that this is pretty exciting, and I'd heard about it just not too long ago, and I'm pretty excited for it. So my question was you're putting together 11 board members. Have you selected them already, or do you have like seats for particular things, like one for schools, one for the inputs for the districts? You know, do you have them already in place, or are you looking to fill those positions?
Yeah, in September of 2023, there were applications made to the Board of Supervisors, and then those were filled. But we've had some organizational turnaround, and we're also just looking at categories. So there are many of the categories that you mentioned are there. We don't have a regional district by district representation at that point, and Bruno might be able to speak more to this, but we're grappling with making sure you have a sustainable number so that you can get a quorum, 'cause this is voluntary, versus packing it with such an extensive,
Sure.
yeah.
And just to add to that, one of the asks also is for us to clear the slate so we can get new applications, because there has been some alternates that have been showing up, and we want them to be a part of the team, such as Angela, who has joined us in the last 2 to 3 months. She's been amazing. We want her to be an official member. No offense to Don Smith, love Don Smith. He was very helpful in creating the process that we just talked about today. But we want to clean the slate, get new applications, and start fresh with this new action plan and strategic plan in place.
All right. If there's not anything else, I'll open it up to the public. If there's anyone that would like to speak on this.
Good afternoon, supervisors and Food Policy Council. This is very exciting. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to hear this as a concerned Lake County resident who is committed to sustainability and food security for my neighbors. I want to help. And along those lines, I want to let you know that your Goal 3, Food Policy Councils in your strategic plan enact supportive zoning and policy. As a member of the Lake County General Plan Advisory Committee representative, I'm keenly interested in this topic. And I hope that the Food Policy Council is also interested in a parallel matter, and that is preserving agricultural lands and keeping them in production. Specifically, Lake County is updating its general plan and the local area plans, and some of that work involves recommendations to rezone and to expand community growth boundaries. And so your support along those lines would be greatly appreciated. In support of your goal 4.4, to get the word out on the good work that you're doing, I have a few suggestions. It would be great if your council agendas included an email address to suggest future agenda items. It would also be helpful to post your minutes and recordings of meetings, or the link to get to those recordings, because we need more hands and heads to work together for food security for our community, and that'd be great, because you are doing exciting work, and it sounds like you are going on to the next level, and let's bring more people along with you. And with that, I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco.
All good suggestions. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments from public? All right, come on up, yeah.
Tammy Alexey, American Red Cross, and part of the Food Policy Council. I just want to say that I'm the one that always raises my hand and says, what? Come on. Emergency food. So I just want to make sure that you know that we are working on emergency food also, and it's addendum number 5, and just leave it at that. I didn't want to go away without mentioning it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Not forgotten.
Joan?
Joan Moss. I think Kelseyville is a really good example of farmers. Kelseyville Grade School has a garden. And I think our legal division could offer stimulus and incentives and take some fines away if people can build their own garden. If people can do something besides get into trouble. If they can put hours in to a garden and learn, I think that we could be in the forefront of new ideas. Giving people incentives and rewards for changing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. All right, come on up.
I'll make this as brief as possible. I just wanted to, number one, thank this board for hearing this and for this team for doing this. Adventist Health is keenly invested in making certain to provide what the earth has to provide here in Lake County to its population, which includes its employees, in addition to its community. So I'm pleased to be a part of that part, especially as you'd mentioned before, and look forward to the outcomes.
Thank you. Oh, did we get your name?
No.
Sorry about that. For the record.
Angela Frazier.
All right, thanks. And any other public comment? On Zoom? Oh, Kyle, if you can unmute.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle. Bill, I just wanted to, I'm also a part of the Lake County General Plan Advisory Board, and just wanted to also acknowledge and encourage, if it hasn't already been done so, but tribal representation and engagement when it comes to topics, especially like this. Tribes do have resources or potential infrastructure that could benefit, but also engaging tribes to learn more about the lack of infrastructure or the resources necessary to grow our own food. Food sovereignty is definitely something that is well known within tribal communities, but some tribes in Lake County aren't able to grow food from the land because it's been contaminated due to mining. And so some tribal communities aren't even able to grow food safely and consume it safely. And so understanding those impacts, I think, is important so that we can ensure that the resources and the focus can also go toward those communities that have been disproportionately impacted by colonization and capitalism, and how we can work collectively together to ensure that tribal communities are also represented and heard, and also a part of the sharing in resources, because we are still constituents within the county, and we are invested in the general health and welfare of everyone here as well. So I think it's important just to engage, ensuring that engagement to respect tribal sovereignty when it comes to ensuring that we're engaging tribes in a respectful manner when we're doing these things as a collective, because we are a part of the county as well. So I just wanted to voice that, and I appreciate the initiative, and look forward to the work that will come as a result of this committee.
All right, thank you for that. Any other public comment? Okay. Supervisor Sabatier?
And Annette Calamoni is our representative from the Lake County Community Foundations, where we have an MOU. But I just wanted to respond real quick. I appreciate Kyle Bill making a statement. I will say that I have failed in one aspect of this Food Policy Council. We do have a tribal membership seat. We had filled that seat, but we have not been able to engage in the way that we wanted to engage. This is one of the reasons we kind of want to hit reset for a certain different number of seats. I would like to reopen it up so that we can find somebody who truly can engage with us and provide that. And I'm hoping that maybe Kyle Bill, I know you do great work, especially related to healthcare. This is very much related to that, and hoping that maybe there's incentives in there for you to join us and be able to participate in our future meetings. And even then, it's open for the public. Anyone and everyone can join us and be a part of this. But I appreciate the comment, and that's one of the aspects that we all want to do better on.
All right, Annette?
Hi, this is Annette Camaloni, and I'm just so appreciative of Bruno and the Food Policy Council for including Lake County Community Foundation in this plan, and we look forward to working with everybody to make sure that everyone in Lake County is fed. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. With that, I'll close public input, and if there's no one else. All right, bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chair, I just want to make sure and identify, we do have two versions of the MOU with Lake County Community Foundations. The one we're looking to be approved, to have approved is the titled MOU Food Policy Council and Lake County Community Foundation RV2 revised 2 with the date 6/2/25 on it. What we changed is in section 10, instead of going off the head, I'm going to make sure that I am talking about the correct section. On the section under signature, which is section 10, it should now state this MOU is executed by the undersigned duly authorized representatives of the Lake County Community Foundation, and instead of the County of Lake, it says and the County of Lake Food Policy Council. And within the signature page, instead of it being County of Lake and Lake County Community Foundation, it is now the County of Lake Food Policy Council and Lake County Community Foundation. Your signature will count as the Food Policy Council since we are a committee that has been approved by the Board of Supervisors. Just wanted to provide those changes that were provided by County Council so that we approve the correct item. And I believe, based on at least one of your last questions, it was uploaded on Friday where the revision of this was provided. Is that correct, Johanna? Or I could always just say as amended, and that would cover everything.
That would.
And so with that, I'm going to go one at a time. I move to approve the Food Policy Council bylaws as presented.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0.
And then I move to approve the MOU with the Lake County Community Foundations version 2 as amended.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0.
And then I move to reopen all applications and clear the membership of the Food Policy Council.
I second that.
Mr. Chair, just for further clarification, the reference to clearing it would be vacating the current membership positions of the Food Policy Council. That'd be.
Did I miss and for the chair to sign on the last one?
It could be, well, on item C, your board can approve it, and at its option, one option is for the, because my understanding is the Food Policy Council has approved this agreement.
Yes.
So certainly a proper representative of that council can sign off on that because the signature field does identify council, but at the same time, the board can also approve it. Now, that would probably be the cleaner way, which then would be consistent with just the motion that just passed.
Okay.
Because the board has given its approval, and then it appears that previously the Food Policy Council, with its current membership, has approved the document as well, so they can sign off on the member of that council, proper member of that council can sign off on that under that item.
So it sounds like we're good to move forward, and I move to vacate the list of membership.
And I second that.
All right, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Anything else? All right.
Ask me to present and then kick me off. Wow.
You just used.
We're looking for your application again.
You could be so lucky.
Rebecca, thank you.
Can we have a short?
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, so you want a short, so we'll take a quick break before we do calendars, and we'll come back in 5 minutes. All right, we're back from our break, and we're going to do calendars.
Bruno, you want to start?
Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go.
All right.
Let's see. Last week was kind of a quiet week, but on the 23rd, I went to a field trip with the Upper Lake High School out at the reclamation area, Middle Creek area, on a drone, or it's a field trip regarding a future drone study project at the Blue Ribbon. It's a Blue Ribbon approved project that is being done by Pacific Union College with local high schools. Also last week attended a co-managing the land and natural resources seminar that was sponsored by Habemetal, and basically it was regarding tribes, the county, and state agencies, talking about a future co-management agreement for the Clear Lake watershed. I attended a coffee event last Saturday with the Lakeport mayor, and that was it. That'll be it for this report.
This week?
I'll wait till next week on what I have pending.
Okay. I will go. Tomorrow I have a meeting, LCOE, and Thursday, geothermal. I was going to go to the Kelseyville High School Awards Night, but I've got a 8th grade graduation, so sheriff's covering me for that. Friday, I will be at the Middletown graduation. And I have a lot of graduation parties all weekend, but the Eli Stage hoedown is happening Saturday night, which unfortunately I'm not able to make this year. And then Monday, back with CAO Parker, and then Tuesday's board meeting.
Supervisors Mtg?
Yeah, I just want to highlight a couple of things, and hopefully I'm not stealing thunder from others. Couple things about the COC. I think I've mentioned before, we received $1.5 million. Actually, I've been engaged with Vice Chair Rasmussen on how to spend this $1.5 million. We are looking at safe parking, as well as some other ideas within the concept of safe parking. Again, trying to engage folks in a less intrusive way to try to get them to build trust and relationships with us so we can get them into our shelters and then through the housing continuum. Those conversations continue. We hope to have a budget soon, and the state wants us to start spending the money soon, and we also want to, because folks need help. We had a Middle Creek Restoration Project meeting just this past Monday. I'm actually pretty excited about some of the progress that we're making. Some things are going to be coming to the Board of Supervisors real soon for acquisition of properties, as well as a full update on where we are with Middle Creek Restoration and some of the support that we're going to need from the Board of Supervisors to be able to accomplish some of our goals. So I'm looking forward to that. We also had Chair Crandall and I had a town hall regarding Lake Pillsbury. It's exciting to see the change in the atmosphere, and not at all what it used to be. Usually Chair Crandall and I felt quite lonely in our position, and I think that we're feeling change in the atmosphere, change in the mood of how people feel about the potential loss of the dam, and feeling like we're gaining momentum in that aspect. So looking forward to our continued work on that. Tomorrow, actually, we start off with Potter Valley Project. Then I have a NACO leadership meeting for the Health Steering Committee, Blue Zones meeting, and then a meeting with the City of Clear Lake and the county. Starting off Thursday with Judge's Breakfast with our new June lineup, and then finishing the day with our Lake County Continuum of Care meeting, where we'll see about our progress on some of these projects as well, and finishing up with the City of Clear Lake meeting that day. PEG TV, just want to add a little bit on there. We had a meeting on Monday. There's a lot of requests for PEG TV to be in different places. They were at the town hall for Lake Pillsbury. That same following weekend, they were at Soparis again for the Middletown Arts Center based on their request. Yesterday, Thomas wasn't able to make the meeting because he was at a Lake EDC event, and a meeting again on Friday for future events happening. And I won't provide the details on a proposal, but a proposal to work with our high school was provided by members of the public, and we're very excited to follow up on that and see how we can engage with our youth to not only get them to provide some content, but also to engage with PEG and start learning some of the things that we do, see where we can go with that. On the following Monday, I have a CalCog board meeting, something I got caught up with in the Lake APC that I said yes to, that I wish I had not said yes to. Meeting with our CAO in the afternoon, and then afterwards back here on Tuesday.
All right, Supervisor Owen.
Okay. I will say that Memorial Week, that week leading up to the weekend, was crazy busy. I was really thankful that we didn't have a meeting that following Tuesday, last Tuesday, because I was drained. Let me see. Since that week, I had already gave an update on that week, so I want to say thank you to Supervisor Sabatier and Supervisor Crandall for doing an amazing job at the Lake Pillsbury open house the other last Tuesday. You guys, or Wednesday, I guess it was Wednesday. You guys did an amazing job, and you made us proud, so thank you. I had a number of meetings coming up to this week. Let me go to what's coming up this next week. Splash pad meeting tomorrow with Supervisor Spatier. I also have a meeting with Maria Turner on Thursday in the morning at Coyote Valley. We'll be looking at the possibility of getting an emergency egress or an egress through the new subdivision going in there at the Valley Oaks project. Geothermal meeting. I have some other meetings during the day. One of them on Friday will be with Rebecca with our Farm Bureau, and Lars Ewing. I'll be touring Canocti on Monday and looking at the recreation center where they're looking to put in some facilities in the Lakeport area.
All right, thank you. Thank you for mentioning the Potter Valley Project Town Hall. That was, it really felt good to do that. I'm glad that we were able to bring our community together. I know we did the same thing in, what was it, Cloverdale? So it was good to have our community, obtain the opportunity to come, listen, talk about it, ask questions. So yeah, that was great, especially in that theater, something about it. It's nostalgic too, because I watched Back to the Future there as a kid, so. So anyhow, so we had the dump day on Saturday, and quite a bit of garbage. I know that. I was there from probably around 8 to 11, then I had to leave, I think, 8 to 11 or 12 maybe. But I had to roll out. But nonetheless, there's going to be another one this weekend on the 7th, and it's from 8 to 1 at the Moose Lodge as well. And so we'll see where that goes from there. But I know that it had a lot of folks there. It was really metal, all of that stuff, tires. They had it all spread out. It was very hot, but at the same time, the fact that people get to unload some of this garbage, that's a blessing. Let's see. Tomorrow we have the Potter Valley meeting, like you mentioned. I'm glad you mentioned that because my laptop and my phone are dead. So we got Worth. I have Worth tomorrow. Earth. East Region Town Hall at the Moose Lodge tomorrow at 4 p.m. And then we'll go to the CSA in Spring Valley as well. Then, I'm going to pass Thursday and Friday. I already mentioned the Moose Lodge dump day. And then Monday, I will have the CAO meeting, and then also Central Region Town Hall will be that evening at the Lucerne Alpine Senior Center, and then back here on Tuesday for the Board of Supervisors meeting. With that...
Someone.
Yes, please.
So clerk was awarded $4.6 million for the CAL FIRE Forest Health Grant.
All right.
It's very exciting. A lot of that work, Forest Health, is on North Shore in Cobb area.
Thank you.
Yep.
With that, looks like all the items on the open agenda are done. We will look in, I will read your closed session items, which is 9.1, sorry. Public employee appointment pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B1. Interviews with public health officer, appointment of public health officer. 9.2, public employee evaluation, public works director. 9.3, Conference with Labor Negotiator A, Chief Negotiator Carlos Torres, County Negotiators Susan Parker, Stephen Carter, Casey Marino, Pam Samick, and Diana Rico. And B, Employee Organizations LCDD AA, LCDSA, LCCOA, LCEA, LCSEA, and LCSMA. And I think I messed up. I need to do the erratum, right? So actually, 9.3, there's an erratum to the June 3rd agenda when it comes to 9.3, Conference with Labor Negotiator, Chief Negotiator. Wait, am I right? Yeah, okay.
Keep going.
Okay. So I already read the first one that I'm reading, but the changes are going to be, do I read the summary of changes? Go ahead, Susan, please help me. No, please help me with it. Okay. So it's Susan, so Chief Negotiator Susan Parker, as opposed to Carlos Torres. And everyone else I've read. Does that suffice, Lloyd, or should I just read the whole thing again?
Just for clarification, were all the bargaining units named? Caption reading?
Yes, LCDDAA, LCDSA, LCCOA, LCEA, LCSEA, and LCSMA. All right. 9.4, Employee Grievance Complaint pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. 9.5, sitting as the Board of Directors of the Lake County IHSS Public Authority, Conference with A, Chief Negotiator M. Long, County Negotiator R. Dillman, Rachel Dillman Parsons, A. Shemansky, Kelly Page, and B, Employee Organization Service Employees International Union, Local 2015, SEIU. 9.6, Conference with Legal Counsel, Significant Exposure to Litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D2E1, one potential case. And that's it for closed session. Thank you for joining us for the open session items, and we will see you next week. Oh, there we go. All right, welcome back. We're out of closed session, and Vice Chair, was there any action to be taken out of closed session?
Yes, Mr. Chair. At this time, I move to appoint Robert Bernstein as Public Health Officer effective September 2nd, 2025 at $242,880 annually.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. With that, the meeting is adjourned.